June 14th, 2023, 5:30 p.m., council chambers, 34 City Hall. Each member must decide before entering the chamber which agenda item they wish to comment on. If they're not seated in the chambers when the agenda item is heard, they will be notified by an officer to enter the council chambers to address the agenda item. Agenda, please silence all electronic devices. Agenda item 1, call to order. Agenda item 2, pledge allegiance. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Agenda item 3, roll call.
I think they heard everybody's checked in, so we'll still call the roll. Mr. Brown?
Here.
Ms. Gordon?
Here.
Mr. Hubble?
Here.
Ms. Lacy? Mr. Riviere?
Here.
Everybody's present, Mayor?
Thank you. Council, we have two agenda items we need to amend. Two amendments we need to add to the agenda to the agenda. One will be agenda item 6A is to consider the adoption of an ordinance regulating microbrewer in the city of Port Allen.
What that is? I didn't hear, I'm sorry.
To consider the adoption of an ordinance regulating microbrewers in the city of Port Allen. Entertain motion?
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilman Hubble. Any objections? Hearing none?
Ready for the vote?
Yeah.
Oh, you voting?
According to the vote. Ms.
Motion.
Gordon?
Motion passed. Okay, the second item to add to the agenda is, agenda item 12, consider mayor's recommendation of the following promotions. I need to add Edward Marceline. He completed his 6-month probationary period with a 2% step increase from 108A to 108B. Need a motion?
Move.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilman Riviere. Any objections? Hearing none?
Need to call your names? Results? Okay, Ms. Gordon?
Here.
Mr. Hubble? Ms. Brown?
Yep.
Mr. Lacy and Mr. Riviere all vote in favor.
Thank you. All right, agenda item 4. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of May 10th, 2020.
Second.
Had a motion by Councilwoman Lacy, second by Councilwoman Gordon. Any objections? Hearing none?
Yeas, no nays.
Agenda item 5, public comments. Comments from the public are allowed in accordance with the Louisiana Revised Statute 42:11 and Section 2 through 34, and specifically limited to agenda items to be considered during the meeting. 3 minutes per person and 15 minutes per topic. Agenda item 6, presentation to the family of former Chief of Police Gerald Kochek. Council.
I just want to say, I didn't know you fought personally. My father and my grandfather probably knew him really well, but from what I heard, he's a really good man, and appreciate what he did for the city of Port Allen.
Thank you, appreciate that.
honor your father by presenting him with a plaque. Presenting the family with a plaque, and it says, Chief of Police, Port Allen Police, presented to the family of Chief Gerald G. Goche in recognition of his years of hard work and dedication as a city of Port Allen police officer, city marshal, constable, and chief of police for the city of Port Allen. He served these positions beginning in 1977 until his retirement in 1992.
Can we get a picture with my phone, with my mom?
Yeah, 'cause she couldn't make
She
it.
couldn't make it, so I appreciate it.
I think you all should come up here where the whole council could be on the picture also.
Be nice, yes.
I definitely do. Yes, ma'am. Alright. Come in a little bit, Mr. Brown, Mr. Hubble, okay, there we go. Alright, hold up, we got some more pens.
That's what she taking for me. Thank you.
Alright,
Thank you.
I think you're on track with something.
That was sweet. This is sweet. I very well. I just had your number. I just had your number.
Thank you.
Be confusing. That's would be number 2.
Is this for the ordinance for the opening? Oh, okay.
I'm gonna explain them, because I got 2 different versions for you to consider. All right, so council, if you recall, we've discussed the issue of regulation of microbrewery. They look very similar. Within the city of Port Allen, we previously introduced.
Okay, wait, I have to read the agenda item. Agenda item 6A, consider an adoption of an ordinance regulating the microbrewery in the city of Port Allen. Attorney Evans?
You got it. All right, council members, if you recall, we have previously introduced an ordinance regulating microbreweries in the city of Port Allen. In a different meeting, we actually had a public hearing on those ordinances as well. I believe that was the March meeting. Following the public hearing of which no comment was provided, the council actually proceeded to consider the final adoption of the ordinance. At that point in time, a question was raised as to the fees that would be charged for purposes of brewing the beverages of both low and high alcoholic content. So at that point in time, kind of sent us back to the drawing board to do some more research in terms of, what the city should consider. What we did, we went back and we basically took the same ordinance, and what you have in front of you is two different versions of that ordinance. The only difference is gonna be found on basically the very bottom of the second page in section 4, where it talks about the fee schedules. And basically there's two different overall fee structures that we're putting for your consideration. One of the issues is that in terms of alcoholic beverages, the council, the ordinances have previously made distinctions between beverages of low alcoholic content, beverages of high alcoholic content. Typically, beer and wine has been considered beverages of low alcoholic content, where malt and other spirits have been considered high alcoholic content, with kind of the 6% alcoholic content being that line of demarcation. The issue is with these microbreweries, a lot of them, it's beer, they're brewing beer, but a lot of times malt is now coming into those brews, and that's getting you where you have beer that's approaching that 8-9% alcoholic content. So it's still a beer per se, but it's above 6%, and it's kind of higher than what probably people were doing at the time back when these ordinances were made. So that being said, kind of the first overall distinction or decision the council needs to make is, one, do we just kind of abandon that low versus high alcoholic distinction in terms of just the microbrewery permit? In other words, if somebody wants a microbrewery permit, which allows them to brew beer basically up to a certain amount of, I think it was 12,500 barrels per year or something like that, do you want to require just one permit, or do you want to basically keep that low versus high alcoholic beverage distinction? If so, for most microbreweries, that means they would have to get a permit for brewing both beverages of low alcoholic content as well as beverages of high alcoholic content. So that's basically the distinction between these two versions you have. Now you also have to set a number, regardless of which way you choose. You got to set a number. What is your yearly fee for that? I've put in $120, for example, for the full year's license on, I guess it'd be version 3, which is just one permit. On version 2, where it has basically the distinction between low and high beverages of low and high alcoholic content, I included both a $120 version for a full year for low and $120 per year version for high. I have the email that I had sent back in May, and in it I'd referenced some research that Mr. Joseph had done. He said he found that EDR charges $120 per year for microbrewery permit for low alcoholic beverages, and $500 per year if the microbrewery is going to sell beverages that exceed the low alcoholic limit. So, that's just a comparison. Now that's EDR, that's not, West Baton Rouge or Port Allen, but, that's just, to put some frame of mind. So again, two versions for the council to consider, and it's just gonna be, the pleasure of the council.
I guess my question would be, how often than not is malt? In the brewing of the beer, like do you have like a high content of malt? Yes,
You're asking me?
yeah.
Actually, there's, in most brews, there is an added malt to it, in most microbrews. So it's in a lot of, it's in the majority of them. That's not to say that every single one is going to be 9%. You know, so it's defining, you can't use the definition of a high alcohol content beer just because it has malt in it. Because I can control, or any brewer can control that alcohol content up to a certain point, from anywhere from 3% to, I've seen 12 or 13%. You know, and there's a lot that goes into it as far as time and whatnot, but it's not just because it has malt in it.
Well, what's considered,
Well, that's
I'm
what
asking,
I'm saying.
what's considered the threshold, where do we reach? Is it considered high?
Well, they're talking about, I believe 6%, you said?
6%?
And, you know, there's a popular, Abita Brewing brews Andigator, you may have heard of it. It's a very popular, beer, and it sits around 9%. But it's not a malty beer, it's not a malt beverage, so it's an ale, which, that's one of the types of that I'll be brewing.
So for example, in your ordinances on beverages of low alcoholic content, and again, you know, we don't necessarily have a clear definition of what is a beverage of low, it's just the way it's been in the ordinances for all these years, but it says a retail dealer or a wholesale dealer, again, this is of beverages of low alcoholic content, means respectively any person engaged in the sale at retail or wholesale within the limits of the city for use or consumption of beer, port, ale, fruit, juices, or wine of an alcoholic content not exceeding that now or hereinafter permitted by law, but greater than one half of 1% of alcohol by volume. So I think it's on the high alcoholic where we kind of get that 6% then that comes in.
Well, just taking into consideration that even during the brewing, there's a possibility that he will exceed those percentages, so why don't we just go straight on to the high and just don't even worry about the low, let's just.
Well, but you could
Well,
have
Yeah,
lows as
because
well.
I'm sure he's gonna exceed 6%.
Well, and I guess that would be the advantage if you just come up with one permit and just say, we don't care if it's low or high, it's just
Right.
one
I
permit.
mean, if it's a microbrewery brews beer specifically, they can't distill, which is a completely different process, which is like distilling grain alcohol. That's high alcohol content. That's how
And for example, I'll read, you know, again, this is retail or wholesale dealer defined, but this is in your high alcoholic content section. Any person engaged in the sale or distribution for retail or wholesale within the limits of the city of malt, vinous, spirituous, alcoholic, or intoxicating liquors containing more than 6% of alcohol by volume. So again, you know, we have malt containing more than 6% of alcohol by volume, so that's kind of where it starts to get a little blurry, because of how some of these brews are coming about, and especially now that, you know, we're having these beers with higher alcoholic content than probably what was done way back when these ordinances came on the book.
Well, my thought is just have, you know, one ordinance that approves a microbrewery, and you're brewing beer, no matter what the alcohol content is.
So that concept would be version 3, and I know I didn't label them version 2
Just
or
the
version 3.
4-page.
Yes, the 4-page.
So generally, the pricing difference is associated with the selling price of the product. By and large, the more potent and more difficult to brew beers cost you a little more. So it's,
Well, not
it costs more to
necessarily for
produce.
alcohol.
No, it costs more to produce and it costs more.
It does require more ingredients.
More to produce, and that thus the price, selling price typically increases correspondingly to that increase in cost to produce. So it's, the thought is you're paying a little bit more all the way across the board. It costs you cost you more to get the right to make it. That's kind of how the regulatory scheme works.
And so with this 4 year at 120, that means a license for $120 for a microbrewery, that's, and right now licenses are $500?
Well, again, according to what Lance found, for example, in EBR, they charge $120 per year for a microbrewery permit for low alcoholic beverages, and $500 per year if the microbrewery is going to sell beverages that exceed the low alcoholic limit.
Okay, that makes sense.
There's a distinction between brewing and selling it at wholesale or retail for that matter. Everybody don't do everything. So it encompasses different business models based upon what you're actually going to do.
And again, this is not necessarily for the sale. They still have to get alcoholic permits for the sales, both low and high. That's in addition. All this is, what we're talking about here is the license to simply operate a microbrewery. You still gotta have your alcoholic licenses to sell, which, in the case of Mr. Hammond, he already has those through his existing restaurant. He already has a low and high alcoholic, permit to sell. But this is the question, in terms of a permit just to operate the microbrewery in general. To brew, if you will.
So still, any way you look at it, the alcoholic content does make a difference. Like we said, it still make a difference.
In certain portions of your ordinances, yeah, it's still there.
Well, I can tell you right now, like in my particular case, and in most microbreweries cases, the majority of what they brew is not falling above 6%. It's falling between 4 and 6. That's where the majority of their stuff goes. A lot of their special items may bump above that. Looking at the number, the sheer volume of different licenses that we all is required for manufacturing, for retail sale, for distribution,
Jason,
it gets expensive.
not to interrupt, but you don't really have to answer this question to the letter. Off the top of your head, all the permits and fees that you have to pay just to operate your restaurant, run a business, employ people, what your fees, not only to deal with alcohol, and I realize you do make money by selling alcohol, beer and spirits.
It's in the thousands of dollars that I already pay each year.
Something to consider in his case is that he operates mainly a restaurant, and I've asked him to break down the numbers. I think 6 or 7% of his sales in the restaurant are alcohol. The rest is food. However, he gets charged the same amount, $500 a year, that a regular bar establishment gets charged. It doesn't sell food. So there's a disproportionate charge in my view right there. And if we're looking at $120 a year, and if you bump it up to high alcohol content, you're bumping it up to, is it 500 you said, Evan?
Yeah.
In EBR, it's 500 for the high.
So you're looking at, if he pays 120, if we decide on that, that's $10 a month. If you bump it up to 500, you're looking at about $41, $42 I may be off a little bit on that, a month. But yet on the backside, on what he's already getting charged is disproportionate.
So, the other thing that everybody has to look at is where in West Baton Rouge Parish can you go to a microbrewery? Wait a minute. There isn't any. So what you have to look at, and he doesn't know his rate of sales, I don't know it, nobody in this room knows it. If he did, I'm gonna give you all my money to invest, but you have an attraction that I know as chairman of the CVB, I'm ready to sign on to advertising dollars for it because it's an attraction. So therefore, it's gonna draw more people into this locale, which is going to offset if you go with a lower amount on your fee. It's gonna offset it quite a bit because if any of you have been to the ones in Baton Rouge, they have a fall hunt. Well, this is gonna be one over here, and it's gonna be entirely different. Now, the guy out here in the woods that might have a steal, well, he's not paying this, but, you know, we don't know that. But, I'm just saying, I don't think we need to, this is not the only thing he incurs as far as fees, or anybody would. So I would take that into consideration, that we don't wanna overburden a business. Yes, he's selling it, he's making money off of it. Well,
I can say this, if y'all choose to split it up, like EVR does, into a low for 120 and also an added high section for another 500, I'm fine with that. If y'all say a one shot fits all, like the current retail saloon license is, I would go home tonight, make a few calls, and see about a location outside of the parish. Just because I've been working on this for several years. I've been in front of y'all now several times. I have interest from outside parties to do something, and I stood up here before and I said I'm not looking for special treatment. I want it to be fair, and a one size fits all, like the current retail saloon license for, I mean, if you ship it to manufacturing, I don't think that's fair.
I mean, we can agree that, like you said, we don't have a microbrewery here, so the only thing that we can mirror or mimic is another microbrewery or other microbreweries that's being operated. So even with the pricing, I guess if that's what we're looking at, that's all we could go off on.
Well, and I agree, and that's why I just said that if y'all did the split, you know, the split permit, depending on alcohol content, okay, that's fine, because I can get a low alcohol content license, and 90% of the stuff that I was planning on brewing would fall underneath that one license. So a few years down the road, if I feel the need to, okay, up my brew list to include a few more items, because I think they'll sell really well, then I can come back and apply for the higher cost license for the higher alcohol content as well.
Well, how would we know
I'm fine with
anyway?
that. What's that?
If you pay the low and sell the high, we won't know the difference anyway. Unless you tell us.
Well, that is regulated by federal law. So yes, you could find that out, because every time that I would have to package something to sell, I have to notify the feds, so to speak, that it's labeling laws. This is the name of it. This is the alcohol content. They can send an inspector in at any time and test it. And if it falls outside of a range of what I've stated, then I can get fined. So
And that's basically what I said, let's just consider that you all gonna just sell low and high, and just,
Well, yeah, but the thing is, I have,
so that way you won't have to come back.
I have
and
zero interest in paying a government entity another $500 or $600 a year.
Okay, well, let's just get to what it is that what you
I
want
mean,
to do.
and it's, especially when I have persons that outside of this parish that are interested in what I'm trying to do as well.
But see, now you seem like you trying to intimidate us about other parishes
No,
or
I'm
whatever.
not trying to
I mean,
intimidate
hey,
y'all at all.
if it
I'm
don't work
stating
for you,
a fact.
move it. If it work for you, stay. But my thing is this here, Gary, I just want to get back with you on this. Maybe I misunderstood what you were saying, that by him paying $500 already for liquor and he's selling food, and we should charge him $500 for him for the microbrew. Or that's what you were saying? Because, I mean, I'm quite sure he's making money off of selling alcohol along with his food also.
He's in business. Anybody in business, if you're not making money, you're in food. But
You're not making money off alcohol in your cafe?
But 6%?
6%
Yeah.
sale.
I mean, it's a little bit, but it's not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, seems like every time I pass, everybody out there drinking.
So
Okay.
council members, maybe kind of a meet in the road, again, version 2, it does have the differentiation between low and high, and this is the current draft of it. Again, you can put in whatever numbers the council desires, but we have $120 for low, $120 for high. So, it's not the 500 EDR charges for high, but, you're still getting something then off the low, something off the high. You're getting more than just the 120. So again, just you do have that one in front of you.
That's on the other.
That's the 5-page one, Ms. Lacy.
He just gave low, right? Correct, that'd be.
Maybe one I would be interested in, if y'all split it up, it would be the low one that I would be getting, because that's all I would really need.
Right, that's what I just said. Just
Yeah.
go with the low, and if you feel that you need to bump up
And
over the
if
years,
if I wanted
yeah.
to bump it up and get the high, that'd be fine. But
That's fine if you have to come back.
If y'all take a one-size-fits-all approach to it and say, well, we're just gonna one-size-fits-all and charge the high level, I'm gonna be like,
No, but
I got
I
other
said
things
that
I
because
can
we
do.
don't have any oversight. Like, we don't know what you, like, we're not gonna keep up with that, but we know that a brewery does have the potential of having a high.
How do y'all not have,
You know,
how do y'all not have oversight?
I'm saying, we're gonna keep up, like, how we gonna, we're just gonna know, you're just gonna say, I'm gonna go up higher, I'm gonna do some other products that's gonna, that will
Well,
have
a lot of
higher.
It's my prerogative.
Yeah. Well,
As a
sorry.
business person, that's my prerogative if I
I
want to do
didn't say
something
that you
else.
couldn't do it,
I mean,
I said, like,
in terms of the alcoholic content you're talking
yeah,
about, Ms. Lacy?
yes.
See, a lot of times too.
I just
don't know if it's
explained to
required.
y'all
regulated.
the federal
Well, a lot of
regulations
times
that are
that's on
required.
the menu as well, because I know a lot of these microbreweries, they want you to actually see the alcoholic content, so they'll have the name of it and sometimes a little bit about it, and they usually have that on the menu.
You have to have it on the menu.
Okay.
That's a federal law.
So worst case, if he didn't, if you feel he wouldn't tell, eventually it'll come out of that increase.
I know, I'm saying this, I'm sure that he's gonna shoot for a higher content. I'm just sure just because that's a better product, I'm sure you're gonna do that.
Not necessarily.
Cross that road when we get
Not
there.
necessarily.
Okay.
For the simple fact that there are some beers that do not handle a high alcohol content very well at all. They don't taste right. So why would I make a high alcohol content beer that tastes boozy is the term,
Because you have a
And-
brewery, you have an option to do it.
but it doesn't taste right?
I'm just
So
saying
how is
that's
it going
why.
to
Because you have
sell?
a prerogative, like you told me, that's why.
How is it going to sell? That's what I have to look at.
I'm
Is it
just
going
saying
to
you
sell?
could make it though.
What's that?
I said, but you could brew it though.
Why would he brew anything that, something
Look,
that
I'm
tastes
sorry. You just implied to everybody in this room, how do y'all know that I'm going to maintain or only brew low alcohol content? Okay, I
Well, you
explained,
said, no, first you said
I
90%
explained,
could be low, So we still have that other 10%, and I'm saying that even at that 10%, you won't even have to come back and forth, that if you decide that you wanna do it, then the price of the fee is already paid. And you don't have to come back and forth.
No. If it's not, if I don't get that license, if I don't get the high alcohol content license, I can't brew it. Truth in labeling with the federal government prevents me from brewing an 8% alcohol content that is stuck on my label for y'all to see anytime y'all want. If they come in and inspect me and test the beer, and it's not correct, I get fined.
That's not what I'm saying, but come on, whatever.
You made the implication.
That's not what I'm saying at all.
Okay.
Alright, let's go.
I think we're all in agreement to have the high and the low. It's just a dollar figure. And personally, I'm fine with the 120 for both.
120 for the high and the low alcohol?
No, 120 each.
Oh,
So if he decides, or somebody, if another microbrewery comes along, a proposed one down south, will, it wouldn't affect us. It would affect Jason, but, or if somebody wants to locate another microbrewery in the city limits,
so Jason, you want the low,
for now.
for now?
I'd be getting the low to start off with, yes.
Okay, so we said
So that's
other
fine.
establishments is paying, just saying for a certain, say for instance, another microbrewery just wanna come in with nothing else, just, we're gonna charge them $120.
But then they would have to
For the
also
low.
pay the $500 to sell alcohol, like anybody else who sells
Correct.
alcohol. They wouldn't just get $120.
They would have to have the permits for the brewing.
Right.
So if they're brewing low, they'd have to have the 120 low. If they're also brewing high alcoholic, they'd have to have the $120 permit. And then they also have to have both a low and a high permit as well to sell. Those about selling, those are already on the books. Those are the same ones everybody else already has for the purposes of selling alcohol. Those fees are already set.
I would say the five pay.
The who?
The five pay, if you call that.
So that would actually be version
Version
2. The one that makes a distinction between low and high alcoholic content beverages.
And that options, what are those fees on that option?
For a full year or a low, it's $120. For a half year's license for a low, it's $60. For a full year's license for high alcoholic content, it's $120. And for a half year's license for high alcoholic content, it's $60.
Wait a minute. I thought we said for the high content was $500.
That's EDO.
That's what EBR
Oh.
charges. East Baton Rouge Parish Code Owners.
So we just gonna charge the same price for high and low?
Correct.
Well, you might well gonna get the high then.
No, but you still gotta get both. You gotta get a high and a low.
So 240.
That's what I just see 240.
240.
Plus your $500 for your other alcohol.
Plus the permits to sell.
Well, you gotta pay like everybody else.
Alright, we entertain a motion.
And tell me what East Baton Rouge is again? Give me that.
500.
120 for low and $500 for high.
Do they have,
And why,
like five, like we have?
I don't know, that Mr. Joseph, I'd have to defer to Mr. Joseph on that. Those are where those numbers came from. About the Lance, the EDR fees,
Why the difference?
why EDR has 120 and 500.
Oh, no, my question was like, so they paying 500 just to sell it, so what's the EBR fee?
No, that's for the license.
Oh,
500 for the
sale.
license.
Yeah, to sell, yeah, to
I
sell.
don't know. I don't know if we even looked at those numbers to sell.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for the
And I used to have that license in EDR when I was placing EDR, but it's been so long, I
Did
don't
not
know
look up
what it
there.
is. I'd wanna say that I actually wanna say that it's closer to 1,000
Yeah, I think it's more.
for
than-
retail.
Yeah.
I think we do have somebody that knows the alcohol.
It's $163. I'm sorry, $763. That's for the initial permit.
For EDR?
And then I think every year you pay a $350 fine for
Thank you.
Well, I'll make a motion, version 2, to adopt version 2.
I'll second.
All right, got a motion on the table for version 2 of the, adoption of an ordinance for regulating microbrewers. Got a motion by
Let's
Councilman
read the title. of the
Riviere.
ordinance. The clerk will read the title.
Ordinance number,
Blank for blank.
I assume, I
We
think
don't have
it's,
a number yet.
okay,
It hasn't passed.
2023. An ordinance of the city of Port Allen providing that the code of ordinances for the city of Port Allen be amended by revising appendix B, zoning article 11, section 11-.2 of said code, appendix B, zoning article 3, section 3 of said code, chapter 10, alcohol beverage article 4, section 130-132 of said code, and appendix C, schedule of the fees, section 1 and 2 of said code, pertaining to the regulation of microbreweries and to provide for related matters.
Have a motion and a second.
Yes.
I got a motion by Councilman Riviere, second by Councilman Hubble. Any objections? Anybody wish to be heard? Hearing none,
The vote is up.
and this will be ordinance number 7.
Ordinance number 7.
And this is just for the ordinance for the micro.
We have 4 yeas.
Yeah, that's for the price and everything. We vote down.
Are you abstaining?
Yeah.
4 yeas, 1 abstention. Motion passes.
Thank you. Then item number 7, consider introduction of amendment to the City of Port Allen Code of Ordinance regarding to the bar closing hours on Sunday night. The recommended hours are to change closing time from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. Is the bar on here?
Yeah, she's here. Ms.
Nicole?
Danielle Phillips Worthy, owner of Roadrunner 3.0.
I guess what the mayor would like to know along with us is what type of crowd are you planning on entertaining? Is this the young or the mid-age, older crowd? or
We've
what?
been open since about a month now. Our clientele is 25 and older. We have been proactive in already hiring Port Allen police, so they're on schedule. We have not had incidents, but that's like any place. How would you know? I'm a person that has ran and running several businesses inside of West Baton Rouge Parish. I like to do things in decency and in order. That's basically it.
Okay, this is the first time you open a bar?
Yes.
Run bar?
And I had the courage to go there to see the bar, and it's really nice. She did some good work in it. If you've ever been in the old Road Runner, you would believe that this is the new Road Runner. And it smells good, look good, and I was very pleased with the update she did with it. Not yet.
And keeping in mind, this was the ordinance that we had in place before, but just due to some activity, a lot of activity, that kind of changed it. But I do like the fact that you have employed the city police.
Yes.
That's like a plus.
Yeah.
So you're asking on the basis to stay open because you have taken the proper steps to ensure safety. So.
The only thing that, I'm gonna request, and I'm assuming the council will, is that we need numbers as to your crowd and what you have on a Sunday, so that we can justify any changes to this particular ordinance. And then any, updates as far as any type of activity, during hours on Sundays.
I'm not requesting that.
Me neither. mean, she don't know how many people gonna come. One day she might have 20,
Ms.
next one she might
Lacy,
have
and
50.
what does council have to
I'm saying,
understand?
who got a report, you want to write up a
Ms.
report?
Lacy, what does council have to understand is that,
So we got a French Quarter to write
you
on
gonna
one
let me
too?
talk? True enough, the police are out there monitoring the area, but what happens when a drunk gets in the car and they drives off and get involved in an accident?
What happens when
Where
a
that
drunk in the
officer
car,
was
they
working
leave
at.
your house
They're
drinking?
not in the city is liable for that.
Mayor, we just address that, what happens
Okay.
when someone, for example, I'm not putting them under the bus, goes to Court Peace Street Cafe, people drink in the daytime all the time. You understand what I'm saying? So with that being said, people get drunk in the daytime. It's up to my barmaids to control the alcohol content, they can tell if a person is drunk or not. So, under federal law, like he stated, you have to monitor what's going on inside your bar. I'm there. Sunday is my heaviest days. Monday through Thursday, nothing. So that's the only reason why I'm asking for the amendment to stay open till 12 o'clock.
Yes, but you asking us to change your law that's already in place and you only been open for 30 days.
Understandable.
Okay, so that's what we want numbers to justify. Do we need to change that just because of one business? I
But
need
it
to
would
know.
affect all the business, Mayor, not just hers. Jason, if you open on Sunday, you can open till 12.
Nope.
Side can open
I
till
close
12.
at 2
Well, see, you close at 2. 2 a.m. or p.m.
p.m.
But if you want to, but if you want to, you can stay till 2, just like side could, French Quarter can. I mean, they can get drunk off a daiquiri. I do. Anybody else do.
And again, council, so tonight is just the introduction of the ordinance, so.
So we do have, you know, if we wanna monitor them, we do have a month, you know, 'cause it won't be voted on until.
You would vote to introduce the ordinance tonight, but then you still have to have at a following meeting, you still gotta have a special, a public hearing on the proposed ordinance, and then you have to come back at another meeting then for final adoption, so you still
It
have.
will be voted on July 12th, so it gives us.
Yeah, so that's what I'm asking, who's gonna give that report? The owner is gonna bring that report as well as other bars gonna do
we should have
the
to
report, or just her
comprehend it.
because she's asking for it?
Well, Ms. Lacy, I just
I
had,
mean, I'm just asking a question.
if you ask the chief now, we had this issue with the daiquiri shop, am I correct, chief?
Yes, we had a number of, calls from up there, disturbances, and it all depends, you know, we haven't had any disturbances from the new owners from the establishment, the new road runner. We haven't had any, none of my officers, the supervisors have said that they get frequent calls on Sunday or Thursday, through the week, anything. We haven't had that problem with them so far.
There you go.
Chief,
And just to speak on the daiquiri shop crowd is totally different. They're 21. My crowd is 25 and older. We're not catering to the younger crowd. I'm sorry. That was my discretion when we opened. We're keeping more of a blues type of environment. We're not doing the high-end rap and things like that. That was my choice when we opened. That's what we're doing, and I'm not changing. Regardless, if I have 2 people in there versus 50. That's it.
Chief, does the daiquiri place employ any of your officers?
No, sir.
But she does.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a big difference right there. She's taking a proactive approach to maintaining a tranquil atmosphere, and I think it's commendable. And she doesn't know her numbers. I mean, it's unfair to ask her her numbers, but she's only had it for a month. If she can cite some numbers, I'm giving y'all my money to invest. You know, it just doesn't work that way. But,
I'm an accountant, but I'm not there yet to cite the numbers of something that's new to me, right?
I know, and I fully understand that, but I do appreciate you taking that proactive approach and having the enforcement, because it's like, how many of us get these alerts every day, and there's always something, drive-by, nutballs and everything, so I applaud you for that. And I need to get numbers. No. She does.
No, you speak for yourself.
So whatever the process is, I think that's my 2 cents.
All right, Council.
I make a motion to approve the ordinance, adopt the ordinance.
No, it's just introduction.
Oh, introduction.
Just introduction.
Do we have to make a motion,
We
then?
did,
Yes.
we need a
Okay,
motion to
I do that.
introduce.
Yeah, consider the motion.
Second.
I got a motion by
Yeah, give
Councilwoman
it the time.
Gordon, second by Councilman
Hubble.
Hubble. Any objection? Hearing none?
Time to vote. 5 yeas, no nays, motion passes.
Thank you. Then I will consider introduction of an ordinance to accept the redistricting plans submitted by the council by Mr. Cedric Floyd of Data Center. And Council, Mr. Floyd isn't here today, but he wanted us to go ahead and introduce the three plans that, y'all guys came up with, and, at the next committee meeting here, be here to discuss those plans that come up with one, plan to adopt.
Move.
Second. Oh,
I got a motion by Councilman Riviere, second by Councilwoman Gordon. Any objection? Hearing none?
Vote open. Ms. Lacy? 5 yeas, no nays, vote passes.
Thank you. Agenda item 9, consider accepting the planning and zoning recommendation to rezone lot 2, square 1, Con subdivision PAF -186 CB 399 E3 MB1 E39 from downtown mixed use to TPR3 single family residential municipal address 441 Courthouse Street. Owners are Sharon and Jason Teixeira. Are they here?
No, sir.
Okay. And council, what this is, this went through planning and zoning, and they voted to accept and refer to the council for approval.
Move.
Second.
Yeah, motion by Councilman Riviere, second by Councilman Brown. Any objection? Anybody wish to be heard in this agenda item? None?
Vote open. 5 yeas, no nays, vote motion passes.
Thank you. Agenda item 10, consider recommendation to hire the following police officers. Stephen Bell at step 112, grade B. Jason Jacobs at step 110, grade A. And Alicia Frenas at step 110, grade A. Chief?
Good evening, how y'all doing? Last week I presented 3 applicants, Mr. Bell, Ms. Primus, and Mr. Jacobs, hiring for the Port Island City Police Department. All these applicants had a good interview process, they passed their matrix test, and I feel they're gonna be a good asset to my department going further.
Move.
That's it.
Second.
Anybody second?
I got a motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilwoman Gordon. Any objection? Hearing none?
Brown, vote. 5 yeas, no nays, motion passes.
And Gogo? Agenda item 11, consider Chief Hicks' recommendation of the following promotions. Corporal Legore to Sergeant at step 114B, and Officer Thompson to Corporal at step 113C.
Same thing, council, last week I presented, Corporal Guard for promotion to sergeant. He's been in that position, and has fulfilled 2 years as corporal in that position. Officer, Thompson has taken over for Lieutenant Mitchell, when he got promoted, and he's doing an excellent job running his shift on B shift. And he's deserving of a corporal, promotion.
I said, Mr. Clerice.
Chief, I'll just say that, I mean, this is something we talk about quite often, like promoting from within. You have good employees and builds morale, and so I'm gonna trust your judgment on this. I know these two guys, and from what I can see, they are doing work.
Thank you.
All right, got a motion by Councilwoman Lacy, second by Councilman Brown. Any objection? Anyone wish to be heard on these agenda items? Hearing none?
Votes open. 5 yeas, 1 nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
I think she.
Thank you.
Then item 12, consider Mayor Lee's recommendation on the following promotions. Darrell Lewis from Fleet Maintenance Supervisor to Roads and Drainage Supervisor, step 114, grade E to 114, grade I, effective upon council vote. Mark Banks from Mechanic Assistant to Mechanic in Fleet Maintenance, step 110, grade D to step 112, grade D. Eric Jackson from Labor 1 to Groundskeeper, from step 101 E to step 107A. And Gilbert Marceline, 6 months probationary period, 2% step increase from 108A to 108B. We'll take these and go, bro.
I do, just one question, man, like for there, he was there for a year time interim, and he still going, have to go through a probation period? Or would that be waived because he done,
No, he's taking probation at that position.
So I guess we should make the motion to approve
Okay,
with a
I think
probation
that was my
period.
question too.
Right.
Ironically.
Well, that's what I asked at the
Anytime
last
you
meeting,
move-
do you have to go through the probation period?
Yeah, anytime you move to a new position, you go through a 6-month probationary period once you take that position.
Even though he been working in that.
Well, that's how you do all of them, so he gotta go through the same procedure like the rest of them.
He was actually, he was just temporary, but he wasn't assigned that position. Now he's assigned that position, so he has to go through a 6-month probation.
I'm moving.
I got a motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilman Riviere. Any objections? Anybody wish to be heard on this agenda item? Hearing none?
And he said we don't have to we don't have to pay him anything for what he works for.
Because we had already adjusted the payment from the time he was taking over position. It was not effective.
Ms. Gardner, you vote.
So,
Darrell Lewis should be here.
so, you feel that he's capable of doing the job and he's working well with his workers and all that?
Just now, he's been doing it out for a year. And otherwise, other than that, there was no other applicants that applied. And once again, just like Mr. Riviere said, you promote from within, and it's opportunity for somebody within, to step up.
So it wouldn't really matter if somebody applied for anyway, it's gonna go within, right?
Not necessarily.
What you just said.
No, I just said nobody applied. That's all I
I
said.
didn't remember being advertised.
Yes, ma'am. It was. All right, everybody.
Ms. Gardner, you vote.
Yeah.
5 yeas, 1 nay. Motion passes.
Thank you. Agenda item 13, consider authorizing Mayor Lee to enter the contract with PayStore for credit card payment process. And council, we have been discussing this with the contractor with PayStore. And it appears that the benefits are what we're looking for to get this process started so that our paying customers can actually use your credit card or debit card to make their payments.
I move,
I got a motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilwoman Gordon. Any objection? Hearing none?
Votes open. Ms. Lacy, you vote. 5 yeas,
I gotta
1
use
nay.
names. I'm so used to it not working, so.
Motion passes.
Agenda item 14, Public hearing to obtain views regarding the adoption of an ordinance to provide for the revenues and expenditures for all City of Port Allen budgetary funds for fiscal year 2023-2024, beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th of 2024. Anyone from the public wish to be heard is open to the public. Anyone from the public wish to be heard, we close the public hearing. Agenda item 15, consider adoption of an ordinance to provide for revenue and expenditures for the City of Port Allen budgetary funds for the fiscal year 2023-2024 for all City of Port Allen funds beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024, introduced on April 12th, 2023. Ms. Roche, can you read the ordinance?
Ordinance number 6 of 2023. An ordinance adopting the 2023-2024 fiscal year budgets of the general fund, low-income housing fund, municipal complex debt service fund, water and gas fund and sewer fund for the City of Port Allen, Louisiana, and to provide for related matters. Do what?
Yeah, this is for the public hearing.
We did the public hearing already. We closed it up.
Oh, yeah, I move.
You got a motion and a second?
Okay, I got a motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilwoman Lacy. Any objection? Anyone wish to be heard? Hearing none?
Lacy. 4 yeas, 1 nay, motion passes.
Thank you. Agenda item 16, consider approving West Side Journal as the official journal for the City of Port Allen for fiscal year 2023-2024.
You don't really have a choice, that's the only paper in the page.
I got a motion by Councilwoman Gordon, second by Councilman Brown. Any objections? Anybody wish to be heard on this agenda item? Hearing none?
Votes open. 5 yeas, no nays, motion passes.
Thank you. Agenda item 17, consider going into executive session to discuss personnel issues. Councilwoman, I was informed, this is concerning Mr. Joseph, and he wished to have his hearing in public.
Mr. Joseph, can you confirm you want the hearing in public?
Absolutely.
All right, council members, basically, so this is a recommendation, by the mayor for a suspension. Similar to what the council has done in the past when considering, disciplinary action, and mainly, involving police officers, because as you know, police officers, hiring, firing, discipline of police officers actually goes to the council, as opposed to most ordinary, employees in City Hall. But because Mr. Joseph is a department head, this one goes to the council. So, I would recommend that the council follow that same policy. The mayor, as the supervisor, will present the reasons and explain the reasons for the proposed action. Mr. Joseph will have the opportunity, that you then speak, address the council. After Mr. Joseph is done addressing the council, the mayor will say anything else, a rebuttal, any rebuttal that may be needed. And then from there, the council can, begin to deliberate, the council can ask questions. So, obviously, we wanna keep this, respectful, not interrupt people, allow everybody to talk, and, with that being said, we'll start with the mayor.
Okay, council. I forwarded a letter that was given to Mr. Joseph and delivered to Mr. Joseph in reference to the reason for my recommendation for suspension. And I'm gonna read some of the things that are in the letter instead of reading the whole letter. And says, while this letter is intended to articulate each and every event leading to my decision to recommend your suspension, I will address the overarching issues that have led to my decision to recommend your suspension. As you're aware, the Port Allen Employee Handbook provides for any employee who does not perform to the standards of the city of Port Allen will be subject to disciplinary action. And the handbook further provides examples of the matter that may result in disciplinary action being taken against an employee. These matters include, but not limited to, poor job performance, excessive tardiness, excessive absences, insubordination, as well as other specific matters. Since you were hired upon my recommendation as Chief Administrative Officer for the City of Port Allen, I've had to repeatedly counsel you on several recurring matters affecting your performance. First, you have been habitually tardy for work, despite repeated verbal warnings to report to work on time. When you initially started as PAL, your original schedule required time to report to work was at 8 a.m. You were repeatedly tardy for work after discussing with you the reasons as to why you repeatedly tardy. You indicated that you had an ongoing medical issue, which medical issues prevent you from getting to work at 8 a.m. Based on your medical condition, your request had not modified your work schedule so that you would not have to work, so that you would not have to report to work until 8:30 a.m. In order to accommodate your medical issue, I granted your request to modify your work schedule. Specifically, I adjusted your work schedule so that you were not expected to report to work until 9. Despite my allowing you to report to work at 9, which was actually later in time than you were requesting, you have still been repeatedly tardy for work. I have also repeatedly asked that when you be tardy, you call to let me know that you're running late. Despite my request, you repeatedly failed to call and inform me when you are running late for work. Although the following is not an exclusive list of all the days that you were tardy without notice, the following are some of the more recent dates in which you were tardy without notice. March 3rd, 2023, March 16th, 2023, March 21st, 2023, March 27th, 2023, March 24th, 2023, April the 5th, 2023, April the 25th, 2023, May 1st, 2023, May 3rd of 2023, May 18th of 2023, and May 19th of 2023. Due to these excessive tardiness, on May 23rd, you, myself, and Ms. Patel had a meeting to discuss your arrival to work on time. During that meeting, you were again directed to call me, and you were not able to report to work on time. Despite my directives at that meeting on May 26th of 2023, you were approximately 1 hour late for work. You again failed to contact me to report that you would not be at work on time. In addition to being habitual tardy for work, there has been numerous occasions where during the course of a workday, you're not present at work with neither myself or anyone else at City Hall having any knowledge as to your whereabouts. As mayor, it is my job to ensure that individuals who report to me are where they're supposed to be. I have repeatedly asked for you to let me or staff know when you will not be in the office during your scheduled work time. Despite my numerous requests, these continues to be instances where you are absent from your office during your scheduled work time without anyone from City Hall knowing where you are, regardless of where you are leaving your office for work, city business or personal business. It is your duty to inform you of such acts. Compounding the above matters has been the fact that while you are absent from your office, you have been difficult to get in touch with, and you do not return phone calls. As you're aware, you are previously given us city-provided cell phone. Despite being provided a city cell phone, there have been instances where even during your scheduled work time, neither myself nor city staff can get in touch with you. As it relates to your city-provided cell phone, you also let your voice message box be full to the extent that your phone cannot no longer receive voice messages. I have also received complaints from members of the public who have reported to me that you do not return their calls. As CAO, it is imperative that you be available to and communicate effectively with both city personnel and general public. This would include answering phone calls, and as you said, phone calls cannot be answered at the time that they are made, then timely returning the phone calls. This would also include communicating with members of the public in a respectful manner, as I have fielded complaints from members of the public who felt that you were disrespectful or continuing to them during your communications. And he goes on with attendance and additional issues concerning your attendance and communication. There are other issues with your job performance that continue to be unsatisfactory. And these issues include failure to submit employees' performance evaluations, failure to conduct planning and zoning meetings, failure to post council meeting agendas timely, and failure to maintain office supplies, failure to organize your office, failure to maintain the keys to the city hall, failure to secure license plates for newly purchased vehicles, failure to timely sign and issue business licenses and permits, and failure to complete several investigations involving property damages and accidents, among others. While understanding that you feel like some of these duties should not be the responsibility of the chief administrative officer, Port Allen is a small municipality with limited means. As a small municipality, the chief administrative officer in Port Allen is expected to handle tasks that a chief administrative officer in a large municipality may not have to directly handle. The fact that you may feel that certain tasks should not be the responsibility of the CAO does not excuse your requirements to complete these tasks. It should be noted, however, that many of the tasks that you have taken issue with were performed by the former CAO without hesitation. Finally, on May 2nd, a staff meeting was held in City Hall. During the staff meeting, I inquired why you had procured business cards in a timely manner despite my prior request that you do so. After I made the inquiry, you had an unprofessional outburst that resulted in me directing you to leave the meeting. Such conduct will not be tolerated. All employees are expected to communicate and address each other in a professional and appropriate manner. Furthermore, all employees must be capable of receiving feedback, whether positive or negative, concerning their job performance. As mayor, it is my responsibility to maintain a positive morale.
all that you just read is a lot of his responsibility that he has to perform?
Mhm.
That's a lot.
And to go into details, I have some, other, dates, which go further back than what I put in this letter. On April 8th of 2022, Lance didn't call in. I was out of town the whole week, returned Friday, and Lance didn't report to work. Rose was attending a conference in Lafayette, Mr. Loach and Pate were in training. The pain was still off. Called Lance at 9:50 a.m. and he stated he was sick. Called Rose. She advised that Lance was supposed to pick up some orders, some trophies that was ordered. On May 6th of 2022, Lance arrived to work at 9 a.m. Then wanted to leave at 12:15 p.m. advising he had a 12:30 p.m. doctor's appointment. Lance left at 12:20 stating he'll be back. I closed the building at 1:55 p.m. Lance didn't return. We used to get off at 12, half a day on Friday, so that's. On June the 2nd
I'm
of
sorry, I need to make sure we can clarify what, did he just say that I did not return after the building was closed?
Right.
If I left at 12:20, the building closed at 12.
Mhm.
So I want to, in order for me to properly defend myself, I need to be fully aware of the specific allegation.
That's what he just said.
Because I fully intend to defend myself, so please clarify.
Yeah, because you come to work at 9 o'clock, but you get off at 1.
And what day was that?
That's a Friday.
That was last year.
What, the first
May
thing you
6th.
said, you said, hold on one second, you said April 22nd.
I said April 8th
The
of
very first day.
April 8th of 2022.
That's the day you said you were out of town?
Yeah.
And what did I do? Say that again?
You didn't show up.
He didn't put that in my letter, so first of me hearing it.
I just said there was other things that's been going on since.
Yeah, but this is a personnel matter. You're supposed to notify me in advance of every allegation. That's the law. So I don't have to respond to an allegation that's not properly noticed. But we'll deal with it.
You can go on, man.
April 8th of 22. All right.
All right. June the 2nd of 2022, asked Lance about filing 2 damage claims with RMI. He still hadn't filed those claims. One was a claim on 1200 block of 4th Street.
That had a year ago?
On June 21st of 2022, asked Lance at 9:30 a.m. to call Star AC to service the air conditioning due to the 3rd floor temperature being over 100 degrees. As a result, we had to meet in the lounge on the 2nd floor for administrative hearing. Checked with Lance again at 5 p.m. and found that he failed to call for service. I made the call myself with Ms. Pate at 5 p.m. On June 30th of 22, Lance arrived to work at 9:50 a.m. Once again, he was supposed to report at 9, and then he didn't call in. No call. July the 20th, 2022, Lance called at 1:42 p.m. and stated he needed to go to Broke Ridge for an hour to take care of some personal business. On September the 6th of 2022, Lance called in stating his 9-year-old daughter was sick and he won't be in until after lunch. It's at 12:30 p.m. When his wife will relieve him then, at that particular time, Ms. Pearson was off on birthday, Darrell was on vacation, Tennessee Patan was off, Mr. Loach was leaving at noon, and because of her daughter having surgery, so I had hardly anybody at work. Then on September 13th of 2022, Lance didn't turn in a leave report for September 6th, which I just referred to, and today he came in at 9:50 a.m. stating he thought he had put in a leave report. He didn't answer the phone when I tried to call him.
You said that's today?
That was on September 13th. Then on September 26th, Lance arrived to work at 9:53 a.m., no call. I was out of town. Then on October 24th of 2022, Lance arrived to work at 9:41 a.m., no call. Lance had an hour late for a meeting with Mr. Goel, who's our engineer on the park detail at 2:30 p.m., stating he had to use the restroom. Also, a citizen was waiting on him to discuss with him about a building permit issued on Whitehead Boulevard with a neighbor. Nowhere to be found. Then on October 25th, 2022, Lance arrived to work at 10:25 a.m. Lance failed to respond to a permit issued at 262 7th Street, and that was since Thursday, October the 20th. Then on October 31st of 2022, Lance called at 4:26 p.m. advising he was at home because his alarm went off and he will take leave the rest of the day off. Then on November 22nd, 2022, Lance didn't turn in a lease form for Monday. Came to work at 8:55 a.m. and left work at 5:13 p.m. January 5th, 2023, Lance arrived to work at 9:30 a.m., no call. Lance failed to make a 1:30 p.m. meeting with Mr. Jim Taylor. Lance left the office at 2:30 p.m. and failed to return by the end of his shift at 6 p.m. Lance has exhausted all his sick leave as of December 28th of 2022. Then on February 9th of 2023, Lance arrived to work at 9:30 a.m., no call. I had to make a bank run. February 10th of 2023, Lance arrived to work at 9:23 a.m., no call. He brought me Terry Carr's leave report for 62 hours and asked me to approve it. I advised him to do his job. He responded, "No, you're going to change anything I do." I gave him the report back to him and directed him to do his job. Lance left the office after the 12:45 p.m. bank run and didn't return. February 16, 2023, it's a Thursday. Lance arrived at work wearing blue jeans. Friday is our half a day. That's the only day we can dress down. That's where employees wear blue jean pants and collarless shirts. February 27th, 2023, Deputy LeBlanc came in the office again, saying Lance refused to return phone calls or respond to her messages concerning neighbors' storage shed at 617 Avenue D since October 24th. Lance did tell me yesterday that he will be coming in after lunch due to the trial in Ascension Parish. He didn't submit a leave slip until March 1st. On March 1st of 2023, Lance failed to timely post the committee agenda until 8:10 p.m. March 3rd, 2023, Lance arrived at work at 9:46 a.m. No call, no explanation. Asked for a leave report Friday at 12:35 p.m. when he walked in the office, but he didn't respond. He left the office at 12:50 p.m. without submitting his leave report. On March 16, 2023, Lance failed to report to work on time. He didn't call, but he sent a text message to Clerice and myself stating, good morning, or GM, that's just good morning. I have an emergency. I'll be in after lunchtime. I asked Miss Patan that morning if she had seen him due to the payroll reports were due, and Patan advised that he had texted her, advising her that he wouldn't be in until after lunch. At 12:45 p.m. he arrived to work, and I had to ask him why he was late. He advised he texted me and Patan because he couldn't call. I advised him to put it in writing. He responded, "You sure you want me to do that?" And I advised him yes. It wasn't until 4:30 p.m. he submitted a vacation leave report for 3.75 hours, stating he had an emergency involving personal reasons, along with his written statement. March 21st, 2023, Lance arrived at work 1 hour late, no problem. March 22nd, 2023, Lance arrived at work late, 1 hour, no problem. March 24th, 2023, Lance arrived at work late, 0.5 hours, no call. I asked for a leave report for the past 3 days. He stated okay and walked out. Lance didn't return to the office until 1 p.m. He later became angry with Ms. Patan and Ms. Davis concerning issues about signing business licenses submitted by Ms. Davis, well, Ms. T. Davis, in a timely manner. March 30th, 2023, Lance called Ms. Katrina Davis at 5 p.m. and told her to tell me that he wasn't coming to work tomorrow due to a screw in his foot. Lance had no available sick leave. Lance mentioned earlier that he stepped on a screw and was going to the doctor to get a shot. Lance returned to work at 5:15 p.m. to submit a leave report for no pay for Friday morning, which he claims the clerks gave him too many at one time, and some didn't have verification statements attached for the given amount. April 5th, 2023, Lance arrived at work in a suit at 9:30 a.m. No call for being late. Lance changed clothes after lunch. April 25th, 2023, Lance arrived at work at 9:10 a.m. and walked into Ms. Patan's office where myself and Ms. Katrina was meeting with Ms. Patan when he advised that he wasn't feeling well and was going to the doctor. Lance left again at 9:25 a.m., no explanation, and all leave reports. He was told by Patan and Katrina that Patan needed his payroll timesheets today due to a training issue that she was attending, and he advised he did not get the email from last week. May 1st of 2023, Lance arrived at work at 10 a.m., no call or explanation. When asked, he stated that he was sick. He got to go see his doctor today. He will try to get an appointment. Lance left around lunchtime and didn't return. No call or explanation.
That's it.
It's
It's much more than that.
it was not much more, but I mean, it was another incident where
me. All these incidents and nobody correcting it.
Who's doing all that reporting? You?
Well, yes, ma'am.
You do that with all the employees?
Yeah, I was instructed.
That with all your employees you keep up with like that?
The ones that,
The ones that what?
yes, ma'am.
A lot of it seem like it's kind of petty and some are not, but I understand. You have to keep a record with a lot of it.
I will say, I don't know, let me let Lance speak, because I'm a big advocate of oversight, and I see some oversight issues here.
Okay, what we do, Eddie?
Mayor, anything else, or?
I hope not. I'm tired.
Yeah, he got a lot of it. It look like he just filtering through what he wanted,
Yeah.
pretty much pull out right now.
Like you took a rabbit and just threw it all down the road.
That's about it, other than, there was an incident with we addressed about the issue of the cell phone, and, he got, upset and threw the cell phone on my desk and told me that I need to stop nickel and diming, and he wasn't gonna answer the cell phone anymore. But, it was weeks later, he come back and wanted the cell phone back, so.
Why you gave it to him, then?
Talking about, because it's a city issue cell phone.
I mean, if he gave it to you, you should have kept it.
Yeah, he ain't answering me. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Anything else, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next we'll hear from Mr. Joseph.
All right. Good evening,
You don't have no
ladies and
refreshments?
gentlemen. And I just want to say for the record that everything after the letter he read was the first time I was notified of all of those specificities, right? So I can't address them all because I couldn't write and take notes that fast. But what I will say, quite frankly, is that we're going to start with timeliness and leave. Every single time I am 15 minutes late, he takes my leave. Sick leave or vacation. And when I don't have sick leave or vacation, it's no pay. If I request no pay, he makes it vacation time unilaterally, which I don't think he's allowed to do. But I got exhibits. So each one of y'all will take one of these packages. As I discuss my response, you'll see documented proof of the behavior that I'm subjected to and justification for all the things he said I haven't done. But, so the first memo was issued on May the 10th of 2023 relative to leaving the office without notifying staff or your supervisor. If you read it, it says to notify the secretary or your supervisor. Well, Mary is my supervisor. But what's ironic about this memo is that I've always notified the secretary since she started her employment of where I was going. What's ironic about this particular situation is that the mayor is the person who told me I had to go to every public works project in the city. I was not appointed public works director, but I performed those services for the last 3 years. I was not compensated for that position for the last 3 years, but I can't do it from my office. And like I said, I can't even begin to address the items that were just mentioned, but let's talk. You have a large packet there with some highlighted documents. That is a 4-month excerpt from my personal cell phone from March the 5th of 2022 through July 5th of 2022. Each one of those highlighted calls is a call from the mayor to myself, either A, before my work schedule started, during my lunch period, which is my time, after my work schedule started, on leave time, vacation time, holidays, and Saturdays. Each call. That's only a 4-month period. And I can promise you, if I go back to my first day of May 20th of 2020, it's more than that. So I'm on the clock whenever he calls me, I guess. But I'm not on the clock when I'm not in the building. So it's okay for him to I guess, come up with those explanations of my time on his whim. But see, we live in a country with laws. The Fair Labor Standards Act does not allow him to treat me this way. I'm an executive, exempt, administrative, appointed employee. I'm salaried. If you turn to your exhibits, there's a text message in which, a screenshot in which I notified the mayor that I'm at my house at 7 p.m. responding to emails that were presented to me as something that needed to be done at that point in time.
What exhibit are we looking at?
It's a bunch, but it's a screenshot. It's a screenshot. It's this one.
Okay.
It says, reading emails isn't working. That is how 90% of the world communicate these days. That's how 90% of the world's work gets done. But it's not working in the city of Port Allen. But read the next excerpt. What does it say?
This is why I say I don't have a schedule. I'm working at 7 p.m. from my home.
Then go down.
Reading emails ain't working.
Then go
But
further.
if you consider it work, that's you. You are a salary employee and not hourly.
So, which is it? Do I have to punch a clock? Or I'm only working when I'm not here when he says so? I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Next issue. He mentioned office supplies. I tried to put the office supplies in the copy room when I started. He told me that they were kept in my office to issue them out as requested. I said, I don't understand why we have to do that. I mean, it's pens and paper clips, staples. But that's what he told me to do. That's what I did. When he mentioned this meeting on May 23rd and asked me about office supplies, everything that they think they didn't have was there, with the exception of file folders for the new fiscal year, which are quite bulky and probably won't be used until mid-August or September at the earliest. So yes, I had not ordered those yet. And yes, we may have run out some binder clips, but when I took over, I instituted a policy of just communicating what you need so I can make orders at efficient intervals. I don't see the purpose in calling the office supply for one item. I think we can get by. It's inefficient. You order items in bulk and you put them out as needed when they notify you. Keys, I think he mentioned something about keys. If you turn to the exhibit packet, there's a picture, a photograph of a box with little brown envelopes. Those are the keys. That's the condition the keys were in when I received them, when I started. It's in there.
It's a copy.
It's in a copy set of emails. If you give me one set, I'll direct you to it, and then you can find it accordingly. It's this one from Hubble. If you look at that packet, you'll see that is a collection of emails, photographs, and documentation. What you say?
Okay, you say that you have to keep the office supply. Why not the janitor supply the rooms with the tissue and whatever?
No, that's the janitorial supplies. They do that. He's talking about pens and pencils and paper clips and staples.
So why would you have to sturge that?
That's
go there and get their own?
You have a list, but the first list I gave you was the first document I gave you was the list that I was provided as far as the CL duties. It's got 44 bullet points, and I'm responsible for all of that. And he's added to that list since I came, and we'll get back to that. Now I agree with you. I don't think I should be in charge of office supplies. I can promise you there's no other CAO in America who is, large or small. But guess what? It's okay. I can handle it. Leaving the office. Once again, My predecessor was never called to a public works project. Never showed up. There are employees in this city who will confirm that. But I was ordered to, in my own vehicle, on my own dime. Every other supervisor or public works director who has come before me has had a city vehicle. With GPS, they're considered at work when they crank the car. I can't be considered at work when I crank the car, but I'm performing the same duties that other people do. You know, I'm supposed to supervise from my office. I'm supposed to do evaluations without seeing or being in the presence to supervise. I don't know. Maybe it's magic, but I don't know how to do that. So, I think he brought up a couple of dates, Fridays or what the like. But the fact of the matter is, if you look at those phone calls, he's called me on Saturday. He's called me before the workday, after the workday, on lunch. He called me on my vacation time. So, how is he allowed to do that? How can he call me on my vacation time and take the vacation time too? I'll let you just ponder that for a moment. Just think.
I wouldn't answer.
Oh, I get penalized for not answering. Oh, get back. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to talk about. He mentioned that phone that I gave him, correct? What he didn't tell you was, he told me that as long as you have a city phone, you're obligated to answer 24 hours a day if I call. I said, I'm not doing that. If you look at this exhibit, August 4th, 2022, text message, screenshot, Darryl Lewis and myself, 12:16 a.m., about garage bay doors being left maybe 4 inches open from the ground. Midnight. I don't think you can treat workers like that. You have the exhibit. What else? Planning and zoning meetings. I missed 2 meetings. One meeting, I was excused because I went to a program at my daughter's school. That meeting was at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday. Guess what? There were no agenda items, nothing to vote on. It was called so they can come in and approve the minutes of the last meeting, of which there were no agenda items. So there really were no minutes. The planning and zoning members asked the mayor, could they not have their meetings when they don't have anything to vote on, any substantive issues? He refused. These are mostly elderly, volunteers, and he said, hey, the law requires that they meet every month, and it does. But I promise you, it is not a statute that the Attorney General is going to cite somebody over. Not when you're dealing with volunteers, not when you're talking about coming to a meeting to do nothing in the middle of a pandemic. And these are the most, what did they say?
At risk.
At-risk individuals. But I digress. The other meeting I missed, yes, I forgot. But once again, there were no agenda items. And the reason I forgot is because they said they weren't coming. So I left in between to take care of other matters. I try to prioritize the things I do in order to get it all done. So sometimes things get pushed back, you know. By the way, he mentioned committee agenda. The first time I missed the committee agenda posting, which doesn't have to be posted because there's no vote. It's a public meeting, but the purpose of posting is to notify individuals who want to express opposition before action is taken. No action is taken at a committee meeting. But I missed because of computer issues. I couldn't get it printed after trying to get it done for 2 days. Essentially, we had to come in and repair the situation. A situation that I reported on and have not been authorized to take care of and address. We need a new copy. Sometimes it just not working. Won't authorize the expenditure. The other time, I was off that day. That's why I got posted at 8 o'clock. Nobody covered for me. I was off the Tuesday before, vacation time. I just assumed that someone, because I cover for people, I have to do a lot of work for a lot of other people. including my own, but nobody covered for me. So I'm cited for being on vacation time, but still being expected to work.
On vacation?
On vacation. I was off that day. At any rate, I didn't think I had to tell somebody to post the agenda that gets posted every Tuesday before committee meetings since the beginning of, well, committee meetings, which haven't always been part of the structure of this body. Failed to organize the office, I think he mentioned. Wow. Now that one, 95% of the things in my office, I found them when I got here. Part of the reason I could not store and properly file my documents is because the documents of my predecessor and his predecessor were there. Found documents from 1992. I don't think it's my responsibility to come in and clean up behind other folks who obviously did not clean up. They weren't cited for it. They weren't punished. They were glorified. I wonder why. Timely signed business licenses and permits. The only licenses I refuse to sign, the only permits I refuse to sign are those who are not properly submitted. Every license application has a certification statement that says, I hereby certify that the information presented is accurate. The reason for that statement is so that you can go back, if you find it is inaccurate, and hold that person accountable for what information they provided. Without that statement, you have no recourse. So I refuse to sign those. And the staff had been, well, first of all, I found the staff here. They should have been properly trained had my predecessor or their boss ultimately had, focused on that, because that to me is a very significant job duty. Because I don't post the payments, I just get the receipt and the license. So I need to know what I'm signing. I'm not going to sign anything that's not properly presented. Ms. Davis is here. She can attest to the fact that a large percentage of those licenses were not properly certified. Am I correct? Oh, never mind. That being said, hold on, we'll get there. What else? Let's see. It's so much. Let's get back. Oh, employee evaluations. I think you have.
Wait, man, I'm sorry. I need this. I need the letter that. It's not in this package.
So. Well, we'll get to it. I promise you.
It's fair for you to have to go back and
No,
address what you.
that I just found out about 5 minutes ago. It's not. But guess what? Once I'm done, I think we will have some clarification on what's going on here. But it was brought to my attention that I did not mention the tardiness and the timeliness issue completely. Yes, I'm late often. It's due to a medical condition I'm in treatment for. It's chronic. That's all I can say. There's no cure. When I started off here at 8 o'clock, I was on time. Quite frequently, no issues. But as time progressed, it became more difficult, and we found out that I was provided with the wrong medication instructions. So the treatment protocol was adjusted and changed. The doctor gave me a note that explained what impact that had on me. I presented that to the mayor. He accepted it, and he felt as though moving the schedule to 9 o'clock would be sufficient. But I told him, and I think the doctor said, he can't control the time. It's not a popcorn timer. It's not 3 minutes and ding, ding, ding. No, it just happens. But despite that, not often more than 30 minutes late. Sometimes it pushes into an hour, but it varies. The problem is, I think I'm already at work. Because there's been more than enough occasions, as you have seen, documented for only a 4-month period. That's 15 calls, by the way. 15 calls that did not occur during my work schedule. So if I'm working then, why am I not working when I'm trying to get here. I mean, I can be called on the phone at his leisure, but I can't be accessible by phone. And guess what? I am accessible by phone the most of the time. But the phone I had was malfunctioned. I can't control that. It took us a while to figure it out. We replaced it. You see? But here's the thing. I thought the cell phones were primarily for staff and employee internal use. I don't know if the public gets the cell phone. I don't know if that's a great idea, because while the mayor chose to be elected, he's a 24/7 employee. Employees are entitled to off time, to downtime. And that's no way to regulate that if you give constituents unfettered access to an employee. Can't do it. He doesn't believe a text message is disruptive. I'll let you decide. That being said, the doctor's excuse I thought was enough. I do the work. I don't think any of the stuff that's being mentioned is substantive. This is all pretty petty, as you alluded to, but I'm going to stand here and face it and give you my response. And so I thought the doctor's excuse was enough. I thought the fact that you called me another time is enough. I thought the fact that you got a doctor's excuse, it clearly explains the situation. But you want me to call you every day to tell you information that I don't have, because I don't know. All I do know is some days are better than others, and we look forward to those. That's it. So do with that what you will. Additionally, I believe you brought up, I can't even remember, to be honest with you, but you have several business cards. That's it. The mayor never informed me to order those business cards. Now, not initially, because you never know when you're gonna push an employee to that next point in time. Everybody's on a probation level. I mean, I think some of the DPW people gonna get uniforms initially. It's a sliding scale, but he never sent that request. And when he did ask about it, he mentioned that it was because a person asked about it and how long Ms. Davis had been here and so on and so forth. But I had conversed with Ms. Davis about the business cards. I asked her to let me know how exactly she wanted it laid out, and she informed me that she wanted a city cell phone and that she wanted it on the card. So I tried to hold off on ordering the card until I got the cell phone, which took 3 visits to AT&T, because we don't have a city credit card. So finally, when I was able to try to get to a point, and keep in mind, we do have an account with Verizon, but that's a police department account. I was trying to keep them separate. And I also got quotes from both of the major carriers so I could, be a good steward of public funds. But upon telling AT&T on my first visit, which is, again, one of the reasons I was away from the office, because I can't do it online. You got to have a check to expend City of Port Allen funds, or issue a purchase order and have them invoice you. They're not doing that. And they wouldn't take the check after I told them that was the reason that I was coming. So it was a misunderstanding there. And after the 3rd visit, I just went on and put it all on the other account. I'm going to have to break it down when it comes back through for coding, but that's fine. But I can only play the hand I'm dealt. These things take time. And a lot of it you cannot do. You cannot do in the office. So let's talk about, he mentioned something about, wait. I know, you want to take a break? We can take a break if you
No, I
need a break.
need some refreshment.
Okay. No, there's something else he mentioned. I want to make sure I get it correct. There was so much stuff that wasn't in the initial notice. Oh, car registrations. I failed to register one car that was purchased in 2021 during COVID at a time where the DMV was either closed or by appointment only. And there's a very legitimate reason for that. One, I You see there's an exhibit there in which my predecessor had 5 vehicles, I believe, 4 or 5 vehicles that were registered at different points, 7.5 months to 15 months after acquisition. So that gave me the impression that that type of behavior was okay, because most of these cars stay within the city limits, and the police cars don't use the plates anyway. They change the plates. And so I was following protocols that I thought were acceptable. All happened during the administration of Richard Lee. So my predecessor didn't get brought up here before. Why am I? One car. During COVID. COVID was my excuse. What was theirs? 15 months, 7.5 months, 5 multiple vehicles. But I guess I'm held to a different standard. Terry Card leave slip. The reason that I told him to approve Terry Card's leave slip is because that's what he does. If I approve the time, he'll come back and deny the time. Even though it's the employee's time. He talks about staffing. I have to be properly staffed. Yes, you do have to be properly staffed, but let's just keep it frank. We're not saving lives. The stuff that these people do can be done later. It may require someone to work a little harder or a little longer, but so I don't think most people take off for no reason. And if they do, guess what? It's their time. If you look in the handbook, you should have an excerpt from the handbook that says the city gives you 1 day of vacation time and 1 day of sick time per month for your first 8 years. And if you're lucky enough to retire with that time, you get paid for it. So that's it. It's yours. But the mayor wants to scrutinize the use of that time. I'm talking about all the time. If you look, there are leave slips, notes, where I requested 7.75 hours of vacation time. And there's a note, you need an explanation. I got to tell you what I'm doing on my time. That's fair. I don't think the law allows that question. So I didn't answer it. Personal business is about the best you're going to get. Vehicle damage. I have not neglected to do any vehicle damage. The report he's talking about involved a car window in which the lady alleged a rock hit the car from a city lawnmower. She called City Hall. She left a message with Ms. Lynette. Ms. Lynette forwarded the message to me. I called the lady, asked her where she was. She told me where she was. I called Darryl Lewis, who's supervisor of roads and drainage. I asked him, where your guys cutting? He said they were cutting in the area. Did anybody contact anybody? No. Lady told me I didn't stop anybody. It was just a nick when she first noticed it, and then by the time she got to where she was, the window had fallen out. All I knew was she lived in Port Allen. We had lawnmowers in the area. Rocks from lawnmowers is a common occurrence. We cut a lot of grass. You're not gonna cut as much grass as we cut and not have some rocks hit windows. So it was enough for me. It was raining. It was supposed to rain that day, so I authorized repairing the window. Mayor comes in and says, you need to do a report, an investigation. I said, what is there to investigate? She didn't stop to contact anybody when it happened. Well, who was in that area? City lawnmowers. Well, who was operating those lawnmowers? I said, one particular employee who was in that area, and I did not ask who else was in that area, because there's no way to tell where the rock came from. And I figured it was better to have this woman proud that the city got her window fixed the same day than to go on Channel 9 and say, I reported my window to the city and I had to wait for an investigation. In the meantime, it rained. And I suffered additional damage. If you're going to cut grass, you're going to get some rocks. That's just part of the game. So you got to deal with it. But upon being asked to put it in writing, I said, I think Aaron Landry should do that report. It's Aaron Landry's department now. I took the call because Aaron was not in that day. And I wanted to see that the woman's problem was addressed. But I gave Aaron the information, and I said, Aaron should do it. It's his department. The lawnmower drivers report to Darryl Lewis, who reports to Aaron Landry now. Why should I have to do that work too? Aaron Landry is the city's public works director. Leave policy, let's get back to that. 1 day a month. It's at least 3 days in advance if you're able, but it's up to your supervisor's discretion. Sick time, it says that you're entitled to your sick time, but if you're out more than 3 days, a doctor's excuse is required unless the supervisor requests a doctor's excuse. Now, this is really why we're here. We're not here because of what I don't do. We're here because of what I have done. You see? Because he doesn't get to walk in here and espouse inaccurate, untruthful information and question my competence or my character. See, the reason he hit me with those dates is because I had on a suit one day, because he's alluding to the fact that I must have been doing something else. But what he didn't tell you is every single one of those dates is either sick time, vacation time, or no pay, which I think I'm entitled to do at my discretion. More importantly, it's the way he administers the policy. You see, you get 1 day a week, a month. For the first 8 years, you cannot take sick time for the first 6 months. You cannot take vacation time for the first 12 months. So at any given time, you have 6 months, 6 days, when you can start taking it, 12 days. Which means that if you happen to be that one person who actually gets sick, you're pretty much in trouble. Because once you exhaust those 6 days, you cannot catch up. You're only getting 1 day a month. And if you are unfortunate to have a chronic condition or family members, which you allow to take sick time to take care of your spouse, your children, or your parent, whomever, you'll never catch up. So why are we here? Because one employee who gave me permission to discuss his issue, Roy Ricasner, as you recall, back in August of 2021, Mr. Ricasner was terminated. Why? Because he came to work half a day, called in and said he didn't feel well. The mayor told Mr. Ricasner either bring a doctor's excuse, come back to work, or be terminated. Mr. Ricasner said, I'm not going to the doctor. Mayor fired him. If you recall, you were notified of that termination. A few weeks later, after I investigated, I talked to Mr. Ricasner. I said, man, what happened? Talk to me. He said, man, the real reason is I had to move my daughter into the college dorm. I knew I didn't have any time, so I called back sick. I said, Roy, you handled it bad. I said, you should have talked to me. I said, I was going to go to bat for you and get the time. I'll never deny a man time to move his daughter anywhere, much less a college dormitory. That's the kind of behavior we're supposed to be celebrating, not punishing. But that's what happens here. So he got terminated, then rehired at my urging. But he didn't get rehired until he was suspended for like 15 days or something. No pay. So he rehired him. Then in October of 2021, he was promoted. Remember that? You asked that question. Wait a minute, we were just told to consider this man's termination, but now he's being promoted. Because my investigation revealed that he's actually a good worker. His supervisors don't have any complaints about the performance of his work. It's just that he got really sick early on in his employment and he can't catch up with the time. But guess what? He's not going to stop getting sick. No one is. And see, let me just say, you, city council, you are the governing authority of the city of Port Allen, not the mayor. He's just the executive. He has significant authority, but his authority is subject to limitation by you. We have a system of checks and balances in this country. And those checks and balances require separation of powers to be effective. Well, I'm also one of those checks and balances, you see. That's why he has to bring me before you before taking that action. Because I refuse to co-sign draconian, unreasonable, and irrational administration of policy. So, you know, it gets better. Well, maybe worse. Mr. Ricasner has been promoted twice since he was terminated, by the way. In October 21, he was moved to laborer 2, no, groundskeeper. And then I think August of 22, he was moved to laborer 2. Good worker, just got behind the 8 ball on time and can't catch up. But I don't believe it's prudent, rational, and reasonable to tell a man who cuts grass or edges or weed eats that he's got to come to work instead of taking care of his family. That's what happens here. Mr. McCaslin had another issue a few weeks ago. No,
focus on you, not
No, I get to ask, I get to talk about why we're here. I get to go full defense. My point is that he was suspended 10 days ago, or before 10 days, 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, however long ago it was, because he took off time again, because he had a family member with a significant medical issue. He wanted to be with his family. He called in, he got punched. That's one of the reasons we're here. Other reason we're here, travel policy. Employees of the city of Port Allen are required to pay for travel expenses in advance and be reimbursed upon return. Now, these are the same employees who rarely get the opportunity to get a pay raise without going to some type of training. Mayor said that in this room. They need to get more training and more certifications and more this and more that. But a lot of them can't afford the expenses. And when they request that the city pay in advance, we don't have a credit card, so, you know, it's a case-by-case basis. Well, I told them, man, I think the policy needs to be addressed. Yes, you can do something, but you don't have to. It's hard to tell somebody to go pay $600 for a hotel room, drive 200 miles, eat for 4 days, and then come back and get your money back when you're done. Guess what? If you want people to get trained, then you gotta, put skin in the game. And by and large, they're gonna make it. Every now and then, you might have some issues where emergencies arise, but I think, more often than not, you'll be able to get your money back if you pay in advance. But I refuse to co-sign that behavior. I said, I just don't think that's right. It's not right to ask people to pay in advance. Oh, and just to get back to car registrations. The first car I registered in the city, I paid out of pocket. I don't think I should have to do that. But I paid out of pocket because we don't have a credit card. And I was unable to verify the amount, so I couldn't get a check. But I did it anyway because I wanted to speed along the process, and I got my reimbursement. I couldn't afford it. It wasn't a big deal. But it's strange to bring people before the council for behavior that is dictated by your policies. What can I do? We talked about keys to the building. That picture of the box, that's what I was presenting. The next page is a list of keys. I ordered that creation of that list. Didn't exist before we got here. And I'll tell you what we still don't have. We don't have a number of how many keys we started with. I can promise you we have every key that we started with when I started, except for one set. And that set belonged to someone who was not responsible to me. And I'll leave that at that. But I will say that you also have emails that dictating how difficult it is to obtain keys from the current vendor. Takes 3-4 months sometimes. I got one in there from December 2021, never got a response. Ms. Katrina sent one March of this year, 14th, and ironically on June 14th today, we still haven't gotten those keys. So I took it upon myself to pursue a quote to get the building rekeyed. Because we still have the issue of how many keys that nobody knows were out before. I was never given any roster or any list of saying we started with 10, these people have these, and that's the only way for me to know. If you tell me how many we had and who has them. Process of elimination. Wasn't provided that information. However, I got the quote, $4,900 or so. March of 2022, mayor refused to authorize the expenditure. I can't buy keys from the current vendor, and I can't get new keys and get the building rekeyed, so I guess I'm supposed to make a key out of thin air. Can't do that.
Okay, did you address by not returning the phone calls to the constituents?
I'm getting there.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, it's a lot. First of all,
And that's what I'm saying, it's like.
Well, we have to allow him to answer what the mayor has
Let's
said.
just stick to this, like, all of that other stuff, it should have been, we wanna even given enough time to even overlook all of that. I don't think this came in a favorable amount of time, if you ask me, 3 o'clock, I didn't even get a chance to overview some of this, and
I got it 5
stick to-
o'clock. I got it 5 o'clock Monday. Now there was a meeting earlier in which I thought I had addressed every issue with proof, the same proof you got, but here we are anyway. Nevertheless, the reality is that constituent phone calls. Sometimes I have missed phone calls. I have not returned calls, but by and large, it's because I was out of the office on vacation time, on sick time, and the issue was resolved before I returned. So I'm assuming that whomever handled the issue handled the call, but I guess not. I mean, if you look at the first list, I got a lot of stuff that I have to do. And I only ask that they take detailed messages and send emails. Nobody does it, despite my request.
So do you feel that you is overloaded with
No.
unnecessary work?
I think that I'm being held to a different standard because I do believe that I've had additional duties added to my responsibilities. Since I came here, I was director of public works for 3 years. That's a de facto truth. I also have been doing Bruce's coding that Bruce did since he left in February or March of 22.
Well, no, we got that.
Which that added some, but since that time I've been doing, and that added additional duties. Since I've been here, I was made utility office supervisor. I think Ms. Pate had that job before, but when she transitioned into human resources, that was added.
what are your job responsibilities? that-
Whatever the mayor says,
What's that case look like?
that's what he just told you.
I mean,
Listen to the list.
Mayor, do we have some that stipulates his responsibility?
So most of the complaint is about you being targetless.
Yeah, but he calls me after hours. I think I'm on the clock 24/7. If you call me at 7:30, I'm not supposed to be at work till 8. That's extra. If you call me at 8 and I'm supposed to be working at 9, that's extra. If you call me at 7:50 and I get off at 6, that's extra. So where are the benefits that I receive from being salaried? Because every time I'm late or absent, I get docked sick time or vacation time. You'll have a leave slip there in which he changed a request for no pay to vacation time. I ought to be allowed to make my decision. I don't want any special treatment. I just want compromise. I can be on the phone when he calls, but I can't be on the phone because of my condition, which costs me on average 45 minutes a day. But I'm often here well past my time. And I've been asked to do far more work than I initially was informed of and that I have not been compensated for. I have not gotten one increase because of taking on additional duties. And I think that's a common practice that has been done in this town
Well, I do know.
before my time.
A lot of things have been implied.
Oh, hey,
I know. If he know you can do it, you gonna do it.
So the fact of the matter is, I objected to the Roy McCaslin situation. I objected to the travel situation, and I objected to the mayor trying to administer the police department budget. That's another.
I objected 6 months.
That's another exhibit you have. I'm often called in to ask that I scrutinize police department purchases. I said, the money's budgeted, the chief is in charge of his budget, I put it in for processing. The mayor will pull it, hold the checks, refuse to sign the checks, endorse payment, and make the chief or Casey come in and explain. I told him he's not allowed to do that. The law says you can't do that. I gave him that for free. And we're not going to get back to the fact that he's expected me to do notary work and legal work since I've been here. And I don't get compensated for either. Being a notary or an attorney is not a job requirement.
But you want to take up on that task.
Sorry?
You took up on that task.
Oh, what task? No, I just told him that I was not notarized.
Oh, okay.
No. What I'm telling you is I'm being punished for doing that. That's why we're here. We're here because of what I have done, not what I have not done. All I do is stand between what I believe is sometimes unreasonable behavior in the name of this council, because it's done in the name of this council. You are the governing authority.
So you saying that being that you're not agreeing with the powers that be, you are being...
No, what I'm saying, I'm gonna make sure you said powers. I thought you said policy. Go ahead.
The powers that be.
Yeah.
You're being, this basically is him...
Retaliation. Yes,
Oh,
that's
geez.
exactly what this is.
No. Because see, when I brought it up about being retaliated on these employees, y'all say y'all don't do that.
I said I don't do that. No, I said I don't do that.
Because we had a problem with that. Some of these workers say that y'all retaliate on them if they complain. Now he retaliated on you.
Well, listen. What I said was I don't retaliate. What I also said was each of those employees have to come in here and present it.
Why?
And I can't.
Because they will get retaliated on like you doing. You saying he retaliating on you?
But
They would do the same, and they not as strong as you are.
But you're a council. You can regulate this.
It's a bigger issue than us. If you feel like the mayor is basically doing this in retaliation and none of this information is valid, then that seems like a bigger issue than just what this governmental body should be just
wait a second.
voting on.
This is where we are now.
Well, maybe we need to get every.
There are laws against retaliation. There are laws against retaliation. But what I'm telling you is that look at the exhibits. I have exhibits on every single issue.
So tell me, okay, I understand the defense. What do you take accountability for?
I'm late.
None of it.
I'm late.
Okay.
I can't deny that. But I'm also called after hours. Yeah, but I'm also called after hours.
But you have a doctor's excuse.
I have a doctor's excuse for that, and more importantly, he takes my leave time. So that's my punishment. I can't have the leave and use it. That's why I don't have any leave. But yet, it's an issue. But it's not an issue when you call me outside of my work schedule. I don't think the Fair Labor Standards Act allows me to be treated that way. That was a text message at midnight. There were calls at 7:50 p.m.
So why do y'all wait so late to address this? If he been doing this to you all the time,
We've talked about it constantly. I told the man, listen, despite the relationship, I'm not going to allow you to treat me unlawfully. I tried to be, I tried to compromise. I tried to come direct every time. There are people who can confirm these conversations. But instead of taking that into consideration, these are the things that happen.
you forgot to call the airman.
Oh, that's right. You know what? I'm glad you mentioned that because I don't have any recollection of that happening. And I think I made a note about that. Let me make sure.
It happened today, man.
But guess what? Guess what? The problem is twofold. Number one, it's an old system, and there's only so much a system can do when it's one of the hottest days of the year. But you can come up here at the time to get prepared a room, and it not be this way. And then when you come in, it happens. So no one sits in here constantly from prep to meeting time, and that's what happened today. But he mentioned the business cards. Let's get back. This is one of the last things I want to mention. If you look at your exhibits,
which one?
It's a contract. It's a contract with some POs. It looks like this.
Okay.
Well, here's the contract. Let me go on and send that out. because I told you that I was trying to get the cell phone number for the business cards, and I didn't get a chance to get that done. I also talked to Miss Davis about what she actually wanted on her cards, how she wanted it. But more importantly, what you have there are 3 POs or 4 POs and an invoice that represent over $10,000, almost $11,000 worth of purchases that Miss Davis requested these POs through Teresa. But she need me to order a business card. She'll department head too. So she could do these, but she needed me to order a business card. I already have all the responsibility, more responsibility than anybody to do it. And look, I was not trying not to order a business card. What I was trying to do was order multiple things at one time. And I was trying to get the cell phone first. And once I got the cell phone, I called Todd. She had already ordered it. So problem was solved. But she didn't order until after she got the cell phone. But I couldn't get the cell phone until I got the pricing. I couldn't get the pricing because I couldn't do it online because I had to go and be out of the office, which I'm being persecuted for. So, furthermore, what else? It was so much. Thank you. So I'm just gonna say some stuff and just be frank about it and put it out there. I'm the only person in this city who has the security, knowledge, and fortitude to stand up to the behavior. And I do it, stand up to the behavior. And I do it in the name of my constituents, employees, and this council. Because every action taken is in the name of this council. That's why any action against me has to come before this council. These things are being done on your watch. And we've tried to counsel privately to no avail. So now I have to come in here and defend myself. I don't think I've done anything wrong. I think I've done a whole lot of right. And if that's what you're going to punish me for, then I couldn't win anyway. But if he's going to come in here and tell lies about me, I'm going to come in here and tell the truth about him. And that's all I got to say.
Mayor, would you like to address any of that?
Yes, sir. Council, when Mr. Joseph took office, we went down all the procedures of the CO. And these are the procedures from the CO that left the office. Okay? And these are all the things that he was accountable for when he took that position. When I presented that to Mr. Joseph didn't say anything about he couldn't do any of these obligations on this list that's in your folder that he gave you. Yes, it's a lot, but you gotta realize that Chief Administrative Officer is the most important person of one of my hires. And he's accountable for everything. When something go wrong in the city, who you call? The CEO. He's the man that got the keys to everything in the city. He got the keys to his office, got the keys to the building. He didn't want to order the vehicles, he didn't want to make the purchases. He done it all. But Mr. Joseph standing there and says that there's no way, you're not going to be able to do your whole job between 9 and 6 o'clock. Okay?
Just ain't gonna be back and forth.
Just once. You said one thing.
It's no way possible. And we understand that. But when he asked for a city cell phone, I asked him, I said, Lacy, you sure you want a city cell phone? Yeah, you need to be with me. I gave him a city cell phone. He asked for a laptop. He had a desktop computer. I gave him a laptop. You know, I tried to accommodate Mr. Joseph with everything he asked for so he can do his job. It's been 3 years.
He had done his job?
He's been in his office.
You said he hadn't done his job?
He's doing it.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is that they got rules. One of the rules is, and that's what we were addressing here today, is that all employees have to report to work on time. Everybody on schedule.
We have adopted excuse and that excuse him for
but
it.
you have to notify your supervisor. He
I
has
understand.
failed to notify me on any of these issues, except for when I say that he texts. Okay? But there's so many that he hasn't called. He won't call for whatever reason. And then the other thing is, his schedule ends at 6 o'clock. Sometimes he leaves before 6. Sometimes he leaves at 6. Okay?
But is it okay if he leave early before 6 if he finishes work? I'm just asking a question.
Is it fair for the employee? All the employees get off on time. That's your schedule.
So if I have to, in order to respond to that, all I'm gonna say is that.
But I'm gonna say one thing. He was given this, and this is my memo that I issued back in 2015 to all my employees, and it says absence and call. It said effective immediately. You are to directed to call the mayor as soon as possible if you are absent due to illness or personal reasons. Vacation must be submitted 3 days prior to taking leave. If you are not able to work at your appointed time, you should call the mayor and report the time that you're expected to arrive to work and the reasons for being late. This call should be no later than the regular reported time or the start time of your work shift. You will be expected to take appropriate leave time for any time that you do not work. Excessive absences and lateness to work may also result in disciplinary action as the mayor deems appropriate. If for some reason you cannot get in touch with the mayor, then you should call the chief administrative officer, which is he, or it would be the chief financial officer. And texting and emailing will be acceptable only if your supervisor responds by approving your request. If your supervisor doesn't respond, then you must continue to call until you receive approval.
So
That's
basically,
the memo signed.
so basically is the problem that you have with Mr. Joseph now is his tardiness, not his work performance. Correct or not?
There are work performance issues that we mentioned, including his office is not.
No.
Yeah.
Those I used to live office when I moved in. You want me to pack boxes that I found? Why you didn't make them pack them? It should have been cleaned out before I took over.
Well, those boxes that
It was 6 months. No, I packed those boxes.
He's answering a question.
Mr. Joseph, you pack those boxes and you put them in a file room, which is where Mr. Loach files her file. I had the person take those boxes and put it in that office right there. It was about 6 boxes I had to carry up here in this office. And still, you had stuff in those boxes that was files that need to be placed back in the file.
Ms. Gordon, did that answer your question?
That was temporary. I was intending to go through them more, but go ahead. Can I?
Well, I say, my thing is, if he had that much
The
tardiness,
situation at hand is that all employees are required to report to a certain time.
But Mayor.
And in addition to that, you have to notify your supervisor.
why you did not take legal action last year when you had all these tardiness from him? Why wait now?
As you heard from Mr. Joseph, we have had several conversations in reference to that, and it's
But why didn't you sign him up for his suspension last year?
because now it has gotten to a point that it doesn't appear to be changing. Okay, and this is the reason why I'm taking the action that needs to be taken. Hopefully, this will address the issue going forward. I don't have an issue with Mr. Joseph. Mr. Joseph does the job. Mr. Joseph speaks well, just like he's speaking right now. Okay?
Yeah, so basically we're here because of his tardiness.
Let me just say this about the talk.
I'm just trying to figure out.
He just read a memo from 2015, prior to I was city attorney back then. He said that employees are required to notify the mayor of the CAO. That's the role I'm in now. Every employee in the city that does not work in City Hall comes to work before we do. Some at 7, some at 6 during the summertime. And that means those employees are required to contact me before my workday begins. Or is my workday 24/7? If my workday is 24/7, then I can't be tardy. I'm just not on site. But I'm accessible. They can call me to tell me they're not coming to work, but they can't call me for an issue while I'm trying to get here. And it's an issue that a doctor has explain that I can't control it. It didn't start initially. It got to a point, but I do my work. We didn't come here until I started talking about the policies, firing people for missing days to help their children or their family, making people pay for travel in advance, telling them, hey, you can't stop the chief from spending the money. Once the council appropriates the money, it's the chief's call. So if you're gonna scrutinize it, that's between you and the chief. I'm gonna leave that alone because I follow the law. That's why we're here. This is retaliation, plain and simple. And more than entire 3-year period, I promise you, it will increase. Of all of those calls were made to me on my time, to the intense daily scrutiny of the mayor, because he can call when it's convenient, but I can't call, so he wants me to call him every day and say, I don't know when I'm gonna get there. Hopefully it'll be by 10. I do my work, you know, and I think he mentioned something else, but the fact of the matter is that it's done in the name of the council, and to punish me for a medical condition that I can't control when I've been asked to do far more work than I ever was informed of, and I've done it effectively and competently, timely, and better than it was done before. See, I can't get in, but I suspect we're gonna have this conversation again. Because at the end of the day, this is not about tardiness, this is about micromanagement. If you don't do something exactly how he says do it, if you have a different approach, then you get no compromise. And I mean, I think I did a good job. I think if you talk to employees, you talk to constituents, I try to be responsive, I try to get things done efficiently and on time and cost, more importantly, on budget.
You can be a little arrogant sometimes.
But you know what? I think, that's what I want. Condescending tones and things of that nature. And you know what I find? I am direct. But I find that those complaints of being condescending or disrespectful or arrogant, if they don't like your answer, then they tack on the fact that you were condescending or arrogant or whatever the case may be. It's not that at all. It's just that they don't like your answer. But it's the law. I'm not gonna not follow the law. So if y'all feel I need to be suspended, it's okay to call me on my time. I'll be called on vacation time. But I lost the time too. That's the thing. I didn't get the time back. So if I'm on the clock all the time. I consider myself on the clock when I wake up because I got it not coming. Is that not working? I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying compromise with me. I'm not late. I'm not 2 hours late. I'm not 4 hours late. We're talking about every time. It's all first of all, it's always on leave time though. I get docked my leave. I've never left this office during the day and not either been at a job site, at the sewer plant, or at DPW. I've been coding DPW invoices for over 1.5 years now. It's easier to do there because sometimes the information that I need is not left in the documents. I can't call because I have the entire package. I have the triplicate purchase order and the invoice. So I have to go take it to Teresa. It's easier for me to take it to her so she can keep doing what she's doing rather than her come up here. But more importantly, that brings up another issue, which is Teresa is administrative coordinator to the roads and drainage supervisor. I don't have an administrative coordinator. Just got a secretary a little while ago. Most of this was done prior to that time. I thought I did a good job. Only thing he got is timeliness. It's the only thing. And I think I'm on the clock. If you can call me at 7:30 in the morning, then I'm at work. And I don't go back off work when the call in. Once you put me on, I'm on. So I ought to be able to leave at 3:30 that day if all I got to do is 7.75 hours, but ask, can I do that? No.
I will say, Lance, I don't know what your medical condition is, but I know with any medical condition, stress is not good for you.
It's not.
And it seemed like this may be causing a lot of stress, which may be also playing a big factor in some of this.
Well, I think I've done a good job. I think I've done a great job, actually. I think I've done more in this room than any CAO before me. But here we are. So look, you know what? We can go on and on and on and on. So I submitted.
Well, I just hope after tonight that you and the mayor stay on or get on good terms and be able to work together and work over your decision of what's going on.
That don't seem like this. That don't seem like that's personal going on right now.
So,
I'm a big stickler with policies though. I have to kind of, cause if not, you'll go everywhere. And I'm just trying to figure out the protocol for lands. If for some reason you are not able to report to work at your appointed time, you should call your supervisor and report the time that you expect to arrive for work and the reason for being late. In Lance's case, he's reporting to you.
he's just not reporting.
And for the other employees, they are reporting to him, correct?
That's supervisor.
Okay. And it further says, this call should be made no later than the regular reporting time for the start of your work shift. So if they started their work shift began before he even comes to work, that means he's working before he's even appointed to be at work. See, I'm trying to even understand the protocol. Maybe some of this needs to be more defined. And being your salary, when did his shifts, if they calling him starting at 7 o'clock, so his shift start then?
Well, Miss Lacy, Mr. Joseph's shift initially started at 8 o'clock. But because of he had an issue coming in, that's why I say, well, you can adopt the excuse and justified for adjusting your hours. So he asked to have it come in at 8:30. I said, I'm gonna do better than that. I'm gonna get it to 9 o'clock to make sure that you can report to work on time and we won't have to go to you. Well, I gave him his time was from 9 to 6 every day, from Monday through Thursday, and on Friday from 9 to 1. That was his shift. Now, if he didn't report to work, just like any employee, if you don't report at your scheduled time, all you got to do is notify me. I did not get any calls. And then when he comes to the office, he just walk right by. He don't say anything. I got to ask him. So when I asked him, I said, well, okay, you need to submit a link. Now, I didn't document it every time, because sometimes
I can't believe that.
I don't document those, but when you, 20 minutes or more, then I ask for a report, because that's more than half an hour.
Well, I do agree with you on that, Mayor, about calling. But he do have a doctor excuse. Like he said, he don't know when he gonna hit or whatever medical condition he is. He don't know when he gonna flare up or whatever going on with him. And maybe he feel that because everyone called him before his time, that his own time, at work.
Right,
but I do understand that on every job you must call in and say that you will be late or when you coming in. I do understand that. But this been going on so long, seem like you all should have came to the table with this. This been going on, but you gave us a whole year of late time, and now you want to suspend him when I know before him we had people that you should have suspended, but you did not suspend. But that's another issue. It's over with. But my thing is, don't try to penalize it because of his tardiness. If you're doing his work and you say you're doing a good job, all I can see what you're trying to question because he don't call you and say that he's late. That's the only thing I can see that he does wrong.
What you got?
Mayor, can I ask just a quick question? Like when a rank and file employee, say on roads and drainage, calls in, do they call Darryl Lewis? Do they call Aaron Landry? I mean, who do they call?
They only ones that report to Lance when he was over the DPW then would have been the supervisors, either Darryl Lewis, Aaron, or
DJ or something.
BJ.
And Bruce, but also I was over the meter readers and the utility office staff. So I got calls quite frequently before my day started because their day started before mine. But here's the thing, I just, look, we can go round and round. How is it that I'm not working when he calls me on my time? What about his calls? I'm never off if I'm subject to being called 24 hours a day. I showed you documentation. He calls me at 7:30 in the morning. He calls me at 7:45 at night. He calls me on Saturdays. Well, you can't punish me for being tardy if you calling me to work, because it is work. No matter if it's just a phone call, he's calling to get my involvement, my knowledge, or my expertise. So I'm always on the clock. And I figured, I gave you a doctor's excuse. It says there's no way to control it. So it's just petty to me to make me call you every day. It's embarrassing to an extent because I'm not proud of the condition I have. I never had this problem before that. I didn't have it when I started. The 8:30, 9 o'clock issue was because the medication changed and the time got worse. But guess what? My work is done. There's nothing substantive that's not being done. And the things that he mentioned, I think I refuted every one of them with documentation. So this is about me not calling him every day. And I asked him not to make me do that.
Okay, Evans, what do we need to do now?
Well, you have a recommendation from the mayor, and you have to vote. You've heard both sides of it. You can accept the mayor's recommendation, you can reject the mayor's recommendation, or you can modify it somehow.
Okay, the only thing I would modify is for him to call the mayor regardless.
Or contact.
Or contact someone in office to let them know that you are being late.
But what about the doctor excuse? With just knowing that condition going on, you have to call every single day.
But that's what he's saying. Sometimes he might not be in the state to call. He may not, because I know I have kind of problems.
I was involved as a city attorney when the issues about him being tardy was first reported, and of course then Lance had a doctor's note, and that doctor's note basically said he was having trouble getting to work at 8 o'clock because of a medical issue. Well, the issue is, okay, as the city, what can we do about it? So at that time, Lance was proposing, I get to work at 8:30. Well, the mayor said, okay, well, we'll do even better than that. You don't have to report until work at 9 o'clock. That doesn't mean you can't report earlier, but it says, all right, 9 o'clock is when you're supposed to be at work, no later than 9 o'clock. According to the mayor now, it's routinely beyond 9 o'clock. In terms of the legality, is he a salaried employee? Yes. Is he an exempt employee? Yes. Does that mean he's not expected to work a certain schedule, be in the office at certain hours of the time? No. Just because you're a salaried exempt employee, you can still be held to a schedule. And, so this idea that, I just want to clarify that just because somebody is salaried and exempt, they're not expected to work a certain schedule. That is not the case. You can be held to a schedule, and it's routinely they are. Salaried exempt employees routinely just have a certain schedule. That's what their work. Are they required as a salaried exempt employees to do things from time to time beyond their set schedule? Absolutely. It's just part of being an exempt employee. That's all. Any other questions on that? I just wanted to clarify that.
So Lance, now do you think that maybe you need to wait? Let me ask you a question. Do you think that maybe you need to maybe revisit with the doctor and with the timing? If it's been a little later, because it was determined that this time you may need a little extra time. like you may need to revisit it again, and
I
maybe you
think
could
there is need to call.
renegotiate where you could work, come in a little later, work a little, like, you think maybe you need to kinda do that? Cause I don't want you to have to fall into like,
I don't think that's
Listen,
the problem.
let
Ms.
me
Lacy.
explain.
think
I think I can clarify this. As a salaried exempt employee, I just asked the mayor for compromise. I actually asked to come in earlier than 8. Okay? Earlier is better. 8 to 10, if I'm here, I'm fine. It's getting here. I have to be somewhere because I can't drive. Okay? It's a situation. But the reality is, I asked to come in early. He wouldn't let me come in early, despite the fact that employees do come in earlier than I do. And he wouldn't let me leave early if I did come in early. He actually chastised me one day. I came in early and said, "You're not supposed to be here until 9 o'clock." I'm like, well, oh, I said, "Look, if I get here at 8, I'll work till 5. If I get here at 9, I'll work till 6. Just work with me." That's all I asked for.
I think
I asked him, could I text him? He don't want me to text him. He want me to call every time.
I just think he wants you to communicate with him when you're not coming
He won't
in.
accept text messages. He said you
But
have
that's,
to call.
if you text him, that's your communication. That's your proof.
But other employees can tell you, we have been notified he will not accept the text.
Okay,
But he texts you at 12 o'clock in the morning.
Let me
But
explain that.
call him then.
Let me explain that, Council.
Pick up the phone and call
The
him.
reason why I don't accept text messages because I get so many calls. When I read the text message, it's an hour or two later.
You
Okay?
sure do.
If your phone rings, I'm gonna answer the phone. And that's why I tell all my employees, don't text me. And if I call and get my answer machine, yeah, you can text me. But you still got to get a voice conversation with me to let me know that you've been approved for leave or you're gonna be late. That's all I ask.
Can you do that, Lance?
Do what? Text?
Call him to let him know that you're gonna be late
Every day.
on your time.
Sure, no problem.
Okay.
I don't understand why
Problem
text ain't
solved.
sufficient though. If you see the text tell you what time it came in. So if I send a text at 8:45, it doesn't matter if you read it at 3, you still got it at 8:45. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that I'm not here suggests that I'm probably not gonna be here at all. But anyway, look, I don't have a problem with communicating. I just thought it was unreasonable every day. Or every other day. And look, it was not every day. It's not. But here's the thing. The problem I have is that the goalposts keep getting moved. When I started this job, the man said, I would go to sometimes straight to project sites, right? He said, "No, you got to come here and check in with me. Then go to the site. My car, my gas. No reimbursement. Ask for reimbursement, so you got to turn in mileage every day. That's not feasible. Nobody else has to do that. We had a meeting in Plaquemine. I live in Plaquemine. He said I had to come to City Hall and then go back to the meeting. I said, no, take my leave. Not doing it. If I'm a salaried employee, he needs to trust me. He trusts me to do the work. He needs to trust. I don't do anything on city time other than city business. And I'm always at DPW, sewer plant, or here or on the job site. Period. I mean, yeah, I don't have a problem working a schedule, but I think I do more than that's required of me. The only issue is that I don't call every day and listen to the voice. That's okay. I mean, I thought text messaging is the same thing. You know?
If that's what if he requires.
I'll call. But I thought the doctor's excuse covered it. It's like
no, but you still have to call and let him know you. He don't know when you're taking sick or you
And
can't
I think some of this
just call.
is expectation.
Yes.
yeah.
But also,
No problem.
I think
But also
the mayor may have
No problem.
some expectations that may be beyond the scope of what you feel that should be in place.
but I want
And to be able to keep up with Lance all day long, you're gonna have to give him a GPS.
Or his own
For you to
person,
not
another
to be
vehicle.
able to say he's not at DPW, he's not here, he's not there, he's not where he's supposed to be. I can't say he's not where he's supposed to be if we don't have a tracking device.
But we can't put it on his personal vehicle. They have to give him a city vehicle for him to travel.
We'll have to do something if that be the case.
Yes.
I mean, cause other than that, how are you gonna have oversight over somebody who not always sit in the office all day long and say that he's not where he was supposed to be at that time, then okay, what if he moves?
And y'all know the mayor rides all day. And he gonna locate you somewhere.
Now, as for mileage claim, I worked at a job with mileage, you do have to turn it in. If that's what you're looking to get paid for, then you'll have to turn your mileage
We
in.
requested a city vehicle, he refused to pay. He told me I had to take a decommissioned police car if I wanted, but it was in such poor condition, I just wanted to drive it. We put a city vehicle for administration in the budget this year, he took it out. And we're not trying to take it home, I'm just trying to use it during the workday.
And Council, and he is speaking, and Lance stand up here thinking that I haven't been trying to work with him. He took it upon himself to talk to the chief to get a vehicle. They stripped a police vehicle for him to ride in, and he had loaded in at one time. You know, that was a vehicle that he had got stripped so that he can go, what he's talking about, use a city vehicle, and he has not, that vehicle's still parking right out there.
That's not correct.
And see, the chief said, well, I need to go ahead and put it back in service. Well, I say, well, we're not gonna put stripes back on because it's gonna cost us too much money.
That's not correct. The vehicle was decommissioned before I took it. That's why I took it. It was already being taken apart. Sorry?
To use for what?
Because you wouldn't give me a vehicle.
Okay, to use for what? So you gonna have to use your personal vehicle, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
you hadn't did
But it was in poor shape. The police didn't want it anymore. So you want me to use it? Okay.
That was your idea, Mr. Joe.
Because you wouldn't compromise. You wouldn't give me one. Every municipal, you know when we go to these every events, I'm about to be done with this. Every municipality shows up in a city vehicle when we go to LMA events, not us. So, you know, I appreciate your attention and consideration. I need some air.
I think the gist of it is,
Miscommunication.
well, one thing, Mayor, if you call me at midnight, I'm not answering the phone, or anybody calls me. But having said that, all he's asking for is, and I think we have to look at a scenario here. Let's say a constituent comes in to see the mayor, and he asks him something, and the mayor says, well, that's something that the CAO handles. And John Doe says, okay, well, can I see that person? And the mayor says, I guess so, but I don't know where he is. How does that make him or anybody makes you look like an idiot? Okay? I don't care how you slice or dice it. So the man needs to know, I don't know the medical condition, and I do sympathize with that. I don't know what it is. But I don't know that the medical condition prohibits calling or texting and say, hey, look, it's gonna be an hour or something. I do that with my boss, and I'm older than he is, you know, but it's a matter of decency and respect. Now, the other thing is, if you're consistently late, that doesn't sit well with other employees, and it doesn't set an example. Now, you do have a medical condition. Okay, but the mayor, y'all all seen it, he said it. He said, okay, well, your time is 8 o'clock. Let's make it 8:30. No, I'm gonna do better. Let's make it 9. So he gave. Okay, I don't know what else to say. But if the scenario is anybody comes in this building and says, I need to see this person, well, I don't know where they are.
I wouldn't say that. I'd just say, you know,
I
give me a
give
few
you,
days.
I have to contact you back.
We don't know.
Yeah, I give you my, yeah, just say, I'll give you his name and contact information and contact you back.
Yeah, you take, I mean, you in sales or somebody call
Yeah.
back to something, you take the information down and pass it on whoever can do it. You wouldn't say you don't know, even if it's a referral to another organization.
Things I don't know about, and I'll tell them up front, I don't know. But I'll get
Okay,
back.
anybody else have any more questions, concern at this turn time? Okay, you need to vote or whatever?
We have the leisure not to answer his call though, cause he doesn't hire us, so. it's-
Right.
And I
But you can't blame him for not answering your call either at midnight.
But I had heard from account that he had to do it, like if he had somebody
Man.
that called, he hadn't tried to address.
I don't know, I'm
it,
making a motion for,
he was able to call him back at some point.
Well, if you remember, you had it, constituents come here and mention in meetings in the past that they was never able to, or he never returned their call, if you remember.
but he did address them too,
Right.
about why and what was the reason and, I
He said,
mean,
you know, he's hard to catch hold of.
Some of
Just-
the positions be repetitive.
well, right, and we had a plenty of them come in here with that. So we need to move on, we have to do all the discussing and see, what we need to, are we voting on the suspension or not?
Well, again, you can accept the mayor's recommendation, you can reject it, or you can somehow modify it. Those are your basic.
Well, I'm gonna reject, but I'm gonna modify that Lance will be responsible to call the mayor or whoever in charge when you are late. If you need to be here for 9 and you know you're not gonna be here for 9, you need to call, text somebody. Do not text, call. Cause I think that's the only reason the only issue we have is you not communicating with the mayor. He always said that your job performance is great. So it's just that you're not communicating with him. If he wants you to call him, call him. Call him at midnight.
Okay, so what about the calls to me on my time? Can I have my time back? All of it?
Well, I don't think that is right for him to take your time because you didn't answer him. That's not right.
No, I'm talking about weekends, after hours, holidays, sick
It
time.
might be an emergency.
But give me my time back. Don't take my time and.
Well, he take your time back because you did not answer him?
No, he don't. What I'm saying is he calls me when I'm on vacation time, but he won't give me any of the vacation time back.
Oh.
He don't give me
do
the
that?
sick time back. He calls me on weekends. You got the list.
Mr. Joseph has
Well,
to
let me-
realize he's the chief administrative officer, and he has a lot of authority, and I have to contact him in reference to certain things. He's the only person that can sign, work orders. When he's not there, I got to have Teresa Pearson to pick up that slack. The other thing is, he's also the call out for the buildings if the alarm goes off. So I don't know what he's talking about.
But no, he said when he's on vacation, you contacted him on
Again,
vacation.
council, the-
That's
I'm
what
not
he's saying.
complaining about.
Just-
I'm complaining about after hours, vacation, sick time. I lose the time, but I get called, and sometimes I have to come out. Where's the compromise? When do I get the benefits of being salaried? Because all I'm getting is the negative. All I'm getting is you at work 24/7, except for when it benefits you.
24/7.
I can't. You have to put in leave to go to the bank for 15 minutes if it ain't during your lunch. But sometimes your lunchtime get changed so you can accommodate other things. So you can't plan to do stuff during your lunch.
You gotta go to the bank, the city, for the city?
No, personal.
Oh,
But
well,
they
yeah,
close
yeah.
it. We close at the same time. But what I'm saying is, you can call me all hours of the day, but I get no flexibility, none. So I'm not salaried. I'm being treated like an hourly employee, and that's the difference between those other employees and myself. They work by the hour. They have to punch clocks. We don't. But no one talks about the 7 o'clock hours, the 8 o'clock hours, the weekends, the storms, the hurricanes. I'm not complaining about it. What I'm saying is that it's awfully petty to not consider that when you are focusing on 30 minutes here, 45 minutes there. It balances itself out. You call me on Saturday at 2:50 p.m.? What happened? Did you recall any emergency in the last 2 or 3 years? It wasn't an emergency. It was a whim. I recognize I might have to be called out for emergencies. Come on.
So you
I'm
refer
an
to,
attorney. We get called all the time. What I'm saying is I'm not getting compensated for it, and I'm not getting any compromise when I have to do something on time. I got to take leave time for everything. Every absence that he talked about, every late, tardy day, I was docked. Vacation, sick, or no pay. So what's the problem?
and I do see where he texts you at 12:16 a.m. about the bay doors.
That's an emergency.
I don't think it go under the doors are rolling.
Well, all I'm saying is where's the compromise?
We got a
Ms.
When do I get the
Ms.
benefits of
Ms.
being
Gordon,
salary? That's all.
That was a bay door that was left open, to which someone would have had access to all our,
Well, it just look like it's a lift. Well, so you saying
if
the
you know,
lift right, they can
about
pull
a
it
couple
up?
years ago,
They
they
can
stole
pull
a
it
truck
up?
and drove it right through the fence because they got a hold of the key.
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
this
they couldn't
bay
have
door,
any-
you
they
can
couldn't
just
have-
pull it up?
They couldn't
Okay.
have the bay door. And I was trying to
But whose
notify,
responsibility was it? Was it Darryl
well,
or his?
he's the chief administrative officer, I was referring to him, and then he referred to, Darryl
We were both on that test. That was both of us.
Okay.
Yeah. But I was just notifying that I rode through the parking lot and I found this outside.
You should have been asleep at 12 midnight anyway.
Ms. Gordon, Ms. Gordon made a motion, yes, she did. She made a motion to reject. Oh, okay, you didn't make a motion?
Yes, I did.
She said you did.
Yes, I did, with a determination of him calling the mayor with a voice call.
So the motion is to reject the mayor's recommendation but directs the CAO to call the mayor whenever the
Yes.
CAO will be late.
So we got a question, yes or no, we
We
agree
got,
with motion.
yeah, you're gonna, this is a motion,
So
to reject
I
it.
second it,
okay.
but so in order for me to actually go along with what she's saying, I gotta press yeah or no.
What-
Yes.
what-
But he ain't never put it up on the monitor.
What's the,
Ms. Gordon has made a motion to reject the mayor's recommendation, am I correct? With the,
With the caveat that the CAO report to the mayor whenever he will be absent from his office.
and it's being rejected on the basis of,
It's just about tardiness. It's not his job performance.
If and how do I go about making a substitute motion?
cause this, I can tell you what I'm looking at. And all the days that's mentioned, he said he's either docked, tell me the three, what you say?
Vacation, sick, or no pay.
So just like he's already paid the consequences. I mean, like, so it's kind of like double.
That's
And-
why.
and- I mean, for
You're
what-
allowed to charge them the vacation leave and all that if they're late from their schedule, regardless of whether they're salaried or exempt or not. But that doesn't mean that, you have to continue.
Yeah, I'm not no, by no means saying
Yeah.
continue this pattern.
Yeah.
But it seemed like the consequences, I mean, he done paid for it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, again, he's.
Am I looking at that wrong?
this is a going forward, this is a going forward.
Cause you gotta realize, he only got docked for more than a half an hour late. There's a lot of times when he came in 10, 15, 20 minutes late. That time wasn't docked for him, he got paid for that.
But that's not the dates, that was,
Right.
Yeah, some of them,
Okay, who we got a substitute?
That's why I say,
My thoughts are, after all we've listened to for the past hour and a half, the 2 hours, the number, the excessive tardiness, without checking in, calling in, there should be some consequences. I think the mayor's suggestion of 2 weeks is extreme. That's just my opinion. Maybe there's a compromise. I was thinking a 2-day suspension, and that's, to me, there should be some consequences, Lance. I mean, and granted, you have that, what plays in it makes me hesitant to be all in on that as a doctor's excuse, because I don't have it. We hadn't seen it. But still, you're not totally incapacitated. You can make a phone call. You can text.
No call, no
Can I
text.
text? Can we?
Well,
I mean, please, let me text.
That's
No
gonna be
call.
up to the mayor.
Okay,
That's something that the
So
mayor
be it.
administers.
so be it.
That's a statutory function of the
Okay,
mayor.
so now you have a substitute motion, right?
So we do have a substitute motion.
We don't have a second.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have to vote on the substitute
You
motion.
making a second?
Yes, for the substitute motion.
Okay, Mr. Hubble has seconded the substitute.
That's what the 2-day suspension that y'all substituted.
yes, ma'am.
So now we got to take a vote on the substitute motion.
and my thing here with that, why that seems,
Okay, but listen to Evan.
was 2 days or 2 weeks. I
Okay,
mean,
listen to Evan, he's gonna take it.
Okay, go ahead.
No, you can ask your question. We have a motion and a second, but you can ask your question.
I'm saying, you feel like 2 days, I mean, it's still taken away, I mean, it's still something like.
It is, but the excessive tardiness,
If he didn't use his time, if he would've just let him keep his time, in my mind, if he just kept his time and he was late, then yeah, but if he took his time, I mean, what's the phrase, his debt to society's been paid, in my mind.
the thing of it is, Brandon, to me, he was not present.
Well, he's not saying that he was not present, he's saying that he receiving calls, but he's not in the building. He's saying
Correct.
people calling him and he's working, but he's not in the building physically. That's what he's saying.
And any reason he couldn't come early, we could get him here at an earlier time, he just locked in his room, lay down or whatever, what's wrong with that? Like,
Well, you better gonna get paralyzed, you can't sleep on the job.
but if he not able to function at that moment because of the medication, I mean, what you?
Man is not gonna let that man sleep on the job. You know that.
I don't have access to the sofa.
I mean,
I don't sleep like that. It's
all
not a
these
problem.
Fortune 500 companies that seem to be progressive, making tons of money, allow their employees to operate at a function that my parents or what y'all used to, because I'm accustomed to other situations, other matters. I don't like to be micromanaged, me personally.
Yeah.
So that's why I stand with my mouth. It should be a compromise in order for him to be able to still function, especially if you're doing it at a high level and taking care of city business, regardless of the time, whether he working from 10 to 3, long as he take care of all the tasks that's at hand for the day or the next 2, I don't care.
All right.
So whatever the vote is, let's just get it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and this is on the substitute motion.
Okay, so we voting on the first
No,
motion?
we won't know the
Substitute.
second motion.
Okay,
This is a 2-day suspension.
I thought this thing was open, it looks like
it's okay.
frozen. Okay, then y'all can vote on that, let's see if we get some votes. So, the substitute motion fails by three nays, 1 yea, and 1 abstention.
I didn't do anything.
Okay, then we need to
So
start.
do the voice, please.
Hold on.
So y'all gotta hear the motion,
Okay,
say.
I got you, hold on.
Okay,
You
Okay,
control.
now, this is the substitute motion, you take your vote.
Oh, so we don't have to.
This is the one for
No,
2-day
she said-
suspension. So y'all are voting on a 2-day suspension for Lance. Okay, the vote is 3 nays, 2 yeas, the substitute motion fails.
So now we are
So
back.
We're going back to the original motion that Ms. Gordon made,
That he has to contact, call or whatever.
that you reject the,
That he would not, basically, he would not be suspended, but he is now directed to contact the mayor whenever he will be late or not in the office during his scheduled time.
And from this day
Forward,
forward,
right.
if this continues, then we'll have to come back and revisit this. But Lance is not gonna do that, cause he's an asset to this city. And I
Okay, so-
value you, Lance, and you are a leader, and you can stand to be a role model for other employees.
Just a little physically challenged, but I'm
You
working.
stay
You got this,
can we get this vote?
whatever it is, you got
Yeah,
this.
could you restate the motion?
So basically, the motion is to not suspend Mr. Joseph, but he is directed to report to the mayor whenever he will not be in an office.
Or anybody available.
Or if the mayor's not available, anyone available, during the scheduled work times.
Just say he could call, he could text, or.
You want him to call?
Just
Call.
Oh, that's the amendment.
Okay, it's 4 yeas, 1 nay. The motion passed.
Good night. Oh, we still got more?
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So we was finished. That was good.
Not at this time, no.
Asking the alcohol beverage permits.
Agenda item 18, alcohol beverage permit.
Mr. Joseph, that's
We don't have any.
no.
Agenda item 20, announcements and correspondence. Just remind the council that Juneteenth celebration is this weekend. The holiday will be Monday, the 19th. The city hall will be closed.
Can we get the lineup which time the bands will be performed?
And I'm sorry that I didn't get back to you. The first band, 1:30 to 3:30 each day, and then 4 to 6.
Okay.
In the second.
1:30 to 3:30?
Yes, and 4 to 6.
And what time was?
And what about Sunday, the same time?
Every day.
1:30
Senior
to
citizens,
3:30.
1:30 to 3:30.
And what did we just tell senior citizens, they don't need a ticket or nothing?
Oh, yeah, they have,
Yeah, they need to take-
What a ticket?
You got tickets left?
I got a few that are obligated.
How y'all do that?
Ask them to call me.
How y'all go about doing that? Again this year, how you do that? How every council member don't get a ticket? You don't think we have senior citizens in our district? Well, I'm over all the districts. So you don't think I have senior citizens that I might wanna invite? You don't think Hubble, you don't think Brandon, none of us have, senior citizens we wanna invite?
We made
How
that-
you go about doing it?
We made the announcement, Ms. Lacy. and-
What announcement? When? Cause I didn't even learn about Juneteenth until I looked on social media.
You had the information.
But the tickets, how you go by dispersing them is the question I asked.
I asked for mine, Ms. Lacy.
If I wouldn't ask just now, how would I have